guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today's the 14th of August. It's a Friday. We were jarred by the news today of Millie Weaver's arrest this afternoon. And I'm going to play for you that arrest footage. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory before I do. And that is this. She was getting ready to drop a documentary that was going to expose one of the biggest government surveillance national security scandals with two very reputable whistleblowers, one of which has a radio program, and her name is Tori, T-O, capital R-E, and her radio program is called Tori Says. I'm going to take you to her website so you guys can go there and...
If you guys don't know who Millie Weaver is, she's a reporter from InfoWars. She is a friend of ours, and this hits really close to home for us because what they supposedly arrested her on was burglary, and I did a little research, and people have been posting online. Burglary is one
Here's
of those...
her Facebook page. You can find her on Facebook so far still. You can find her on YouTube still, but they have taken down her Twitter account. Carry on, Leah.
The YouTube documentary right there is going to be What They Don't Want You to See. It's actually called Shadowgate. It was released on a kill switch. If anything happens to me, get this out there.
Both Millie and her husband Gavin, who is one of her cameramen and her editor for this documentary and for all the things that she does, was also arrested.
Yeah. So we know Gavin, we know Millie, and we know their son. We never met their daughter, but we are heartbroken. The video that she
and
posted,
infuriated,
and we're praying, and I want you guys to pray because Michelle said something. She said, we kind of are a little bit grateful that we aren't super famous. And that, we were getting, our numbers were getting up there in 2017 and everything like that. And then YouTube kind of put us on a shadow ban. But when you're out there, like you are with Alex Jones and Roger Stone and Millie Weaver, they come after you. And when you start to expose them, they have
when you go into their closet and pull out their dirty laundry.
Chuck Schumer said the CIA has 6 ways to Sunday.
From
to
Sunday,
get you.
Yeah.
And she's exposing John Brennan from the CIA. But our God is bigger. Our God is greater. And we're just pleading the blood of Jesus over her. Pray that she gets out of jail real quick. That those who try to entrap her are the ones who fall in their own trap.
Yeah.
But right now there is a GoFundMe for her set up by Ezra Levant from
Rebel News
in Canada. We're all sticking together on this. And we're going to play for you the video. We're going to play for you some of her documentary, and we're going to play for you the Alex Jones clip.
And this whole program may get taken down, so watch it now and save it. I actually have her documentary saved. I'll try to get Patriot Gallery, or maybe I'll do it myself later, to just go ahead and upload that on BitChute and our other alternate platforms that do not get censored so that you guys can watch it. But I'm sure it will be made available other places. But right now I have the link in the description. So let's go ahead and go to... first of all, the arrest. Now, what is so ridiculous...
that's what I want to say about burglary.
Leah.
Burglary can be a trumped-up charge. Burglary is what they got to try to get James O'Keefe on.
Yeah.
You can be like trespassing.
Yeah.
With intent to try to commit a crime.
Right.
And then you haven't committed a crime. So really, you could actually get somebody for going onto property.
Let me go ahead and just play this.
And
it's already kind of
just
going.
say... burglary.
Right, exactly. So let me rewind this a little bit. I don't want you to miss it.
Not
here.
Robbery, by the way.
Burglary.
You're saying a grand jury indicted me? For
well,
what?
We're going to have 221s out here. We have room to transport one. Can you send us a car, please? 9107 Yale Road.
Okay. Now everybody knows her address.
I will give you all your paperwork when we...
They just doxed her. Well, she doxed herself. She was streaming it live. That's herself. She did that. But she had to.
Guys, I don't know what's happening right now. The police have just showed up in the house, and they said that they're arresting me. They said that a grand jury indicted me for something. I have no idea what. This is crazy. Where's my shoe? I have one shoe here. Okay.
One shoe there.
That snappiness, she's legit shaken.
So why wasn't I given anything in the mail? Like, I have no idea what this is talking about.
Yeah, Millie.
Guys, I'm literally about to break huge breaking news right now, and I'm being arrested, and I have no idea why. Burglary? For what? They're not even saying. They're saying
Okay.
we're being charged.
Okay. Now, is this from the grand jury or are these green sheets?
Grand jury?
Are these green sheets or are they is this an indictment? Okay, very good.
Dad, get your BB gun.
This is my son right now.
All right.
Buddy.
Come on, let's go. To the car. I've been more than nice. To the car.
I don't understand what's happening right now. Like, please share this.
All right, so there's that. Let's go straight to Alex. Or do you want to play some of the documentary first?
Fine.
Alex talks about it. As a backstory, Millie had called him. She was supposed to be on his show the day before, yesterday, and had said to him, the NSA, is following us. We've got people breaking into our phones. It's looking really scary, so let's be on, your show tomorrow. Then she calls him and tells him that she's being arrested. Now, Alex just now is getting ready to have Tori, who's in the documentary here. I want to give you, her face right here.
By Taliban.
Okay, this is Tori, one of the whistleblowers in her documentary, the one that literally pressed the kill switch button. Okay, we're going to showcase this. Alex has her on the phone right here.
Gate, and obviously that's probably why this happened. Thanks for joining us. I know this is a hectic situation. Tell us why you think this is unfolding.
Well, what's interesting is that we were having problems, from what I gather, Millie was having problems parsing the video together, and her internet connection was extremely slow. And so it was very difficult for her to even put it together.
Sure, obviously everything's under surveillance. So you guys were about to release this. What do you think's going on?
They know that we don't have possession of Hillary's emails. So this is just them trying to get information. I mean, burglary? Come on, Alex. Why would Millie commit burglary? This is insane. This is a facade. This is insane. They just came to her house. What grand jury? Who brought that up?
To be clear, you guys know where the emails are. You're exposing the holes that Brennan and Clapper left in there.
Well, yeah, and how the whole dossier is to cover up their real crimes. The dossier was a two-pronged thing. It was a weapon to use against Trump if she won, so they can round up every single patriot. And it was insurance to make sure if he did get elected that they would take him down as an asset. The dossier was completely fabricated to hide.
Now, understand, and you're a lady that's exposed the Kentucky election fraud, major big national stories. You've been on the inside. You don't even want to say your last name at this point, but you've been on before. I know who you are. We're going to go to break, continue with your stream, and when we come back to just to talk about, is the film, I was told it was finally ready today, is the film, obviously this is about Shadowgate, what are they so scared of in Shadowgate? Well, folks, it's on record. Obama and Brennan and Clapper still run the propaganda engines inside the CIA and NSA that allow them to have control of the media. That's how they put out the talking points. And I've been begging Trump to shut this down.
Right,
this film will
commercial here.
Be picked up by the editors, who will then have their reporters rewrite it under national security. And not most reporters, newspapers don't even know about this, but you're a big newspaper, let's say with 300 people working in it, 5 of them are really working for the CIA, okay? And of course I've been approached by all that, and even if you say no to it, it's just like, it just comes around you. There's, the more prominent you are, there's factions, and it's all cloak and dagger. InfoWars is truly independent, and it's never been part of any of this. But it doesn't matter. At a certain point, I get stuff from the most wild stuff you can imagine. There's a real war in the government, and it's coming to a head right now. And they talked to major whistleblowers. And the film was going to come out today. They wanted to get it out yesterday. They were behind. And I told them to take their time, because I thought, they needed to vet it and everything. And boom, she just got arrested along with her husband at their house in Ohio. So this is a big deal. So Tori, you got the floor here for the next few segments. I really appreciate you. You were working some with them and co-hosting with her a lot. You've been a guest many times. We're not even saying your last name today. People can figure out who you are. But give us the gestalt, the boil down of what's currently happening and how big this film is, and them calling it theft. Well, then Daniel Ellsberg didn't go to prison. Since when do whistleblowers and journalists that expose corruption and expose Obama still spying on Trump, and Obama, that's who really runs it, still in control of these propaganda arms that should be dismantled, much less not in a president out of power's control? That's what all of this is about, is the illegal spying on the American people and the monitoring us and brainwashing us.
You can watch
it's a multi-headed hydra here. Lay it out for us.
This segment.
So when have you ever seen a grand jury come back with burglary? But let's be honest, you know Millie very well. What kind of burglary warrants a grand jury?
Well, no, clearly they're saying it's like the saying that burglary with the plumbers in Nixon. They're saying they're saying she has stolen files.
Well, I don't know what they're saying. They're not saying anything. That's the problem. And right now, while I'm talking to you, I'm trying to make sure that I can send someone there. We need to send her an attorney. We need to make sure she's covered. They're coming in for more people now, apparently, to extend it. So this is a problem.
Absolutely. But tell folks where she is, specifically the town, who picked, and then let's talk about what's in the film that's got, because obviously it has to do with the film to be released with the whole Shadowgate situation. What in the film, because I know you guys interviewed, you were involved in it, some big NSA whistleblowers.
Well, okay, so this film pretty much lays it out and lets people see things for the way they are, for how it actually is and what is really going on. I think the former contractor that actually created ShadowNet is in your neighborhood, Alex. I think he's there. It's crazy. Oh my gosh, I'm lost for words, because there's nothing that they can explain this. Who is the U.S. attorney that did this? I want their name. I want to see what they've been doing and who did this. Well, under what pretense? Who put that in there? Under grand jury? Are we kidding? Who's the U.S. attorney? That's what we need to look at. Who
Grand
this US
jury,
attorney
that's
is.
a really big deal.
Their name, who did it, because
It's a high
they're coming
charge.
for Millie because she's got the goods. She broke it on the organized cities, on what is it called? I can't even find my words, Alex. I'm so flustered right now because it was unexpected, and we knew that their internet connection was being throttled, and it barely came through on my end using a drop link. So the movie hasn't even been uploaded by Millie yet. It's a good thing I seeded it myself. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Well,
I don't know what.
Again, they don't want this out. They want to make her and others Julian Assange 2.0. The trailer's been out for months. You're covering something that's a known project. You're just showing that Brennan and Clapper and Obama and Hillary are still in control of it. You guys deserve medals here. So I think they've really... Of course, they could also try to set you guys up with something else. There's no telling what they're going to pull. What do you think's going to happen next?
Well, let me tell you something, Alex. With this system, they manufacture evidence. You know how Kleinsmith pled guilty today, right? That's just the cherry on top. They can retroactively manufacture things to just paint whatever picture they want of you. That's how powerful they are. It's not only that they guide what you can see, what information you have access to, but, if I have access to it, Alex, I could change your record. I can put some stuff in there from 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
No, they already planted child porn right after they sued me. They already planted child porn and then got it, had it hidden, and then said we sent them child porn. I mean, that's how heavy these people are.
Yeah, they'll plant anything just for their narrative, but I'm shocked. I am shocked. They came after her when they knew she was releasing it today, Alex. They knew that she was uploading it, Alex, and they came today. Not yesterday, today.
Well, I know that she was really flustered trying to get it out. I told her to relax about it, and I asked her what was in it, and basically she just said the same thing you laid out here. I think they really miscalculated doing this. But again, the local grand jury doesn't know. They're being told, like you said, by some assistant U.S. attorney, whatever made-up crap that they've been shoved.
I want to pause right there. I think they made a huge mistake in doing this too, and I think that they cut off their noses despite their faces when they
If they had just let it go out,
then it
even
wouldn't
know
have been that big of a deal.
She's not like for some. I don't know how I didn't know that she was coming. She was doing this.
I know.
August 3rd was when she dropped the trailer, and now it's when you try to make something secret, everybody wants to see it.
And that's just the thing. What was it the other day that happened? That this exact same thing happened to us a couple of weeks ago with something really big. Shoot, what was it?
It was the hydroxychloroquine.
That's what exactly
the
what it was.
doctors.
It was the doctors. And then all of a sudden, everybody's out there trying to find it. They are so
expose
stupid.
themselves.
They get so angry. They can't think. They're totally unorganized. Right?
Right. So I'm just gonna go over here and why don't you play the trailer?
Okay. I'm going to ask Patriot Gallery to shut that upstairs door. She's playing us upstairs and I can hear our echo. All right, so the trailer is going to be at... this is how I want to show you how to... I don't mind showing you guys how to get there, okay?
Well, Millie Weaver's on.
Right, Millie Weaver, exactly.
We don't know how long.
We don't know how long her YouTube channel will be up, but right now it is. There it is right there. I could have just clicked there. We're going to watch the trailer.
People that worked for John Brennan approached me while I was in my specialist training in the Navy.
I worked for Obama's National Security Advisor, General James Jones, for about 8 years for the development of social media psychological warfare.
Oh,
We're talking about military-grade psychological warfare weapons being used on American citizens.
Flustered here. Let me copy this and put it in the right browser so that you guys can watch it with us. Listen, what I told Leah, and I guess maybe I'm kind of in the same camp as Tori, why I'm a little bit flustered here is because not only is this incredibly shocking, guys, but like Leah said earlier, we cover this when it happens to other people all the time. It's never happened to someone that we know, and this makes it way too close to home.
People that worked for John Brennan approached me while I was in my specialist training in the Navy.
I worked for Obama's National Security Advisor, General James Jones, for about 8 years for the development of social media psychological warfare.
We're talking about military-grade psychological warfare weapons being used on American citizens.
Paid for by American taxpayers.
I was a contractor for various intelligence agencies. Our intelligence doesn't stay within our borders or within federal buildings.
Force Psychological Operations Group had no idea that we were going to be taking their years worth of work that they paid us to do, and we kept the intellectual property rights to it and remarketed it, branded it commercially as the ShadowNet.
It pries into your demographic, your world. So if I want to blackmail you and put you under my thumb, not only will I know everything, I will know people I can get in contact to find out more about you. I had full access to communications between the former GCHQ director, Hannigan, Adam Schiff, Daniel Jones, Brennan, General Jones, and many, many more.
You may know where the Hillary Clinton emails are.
You want to see me in Leavenworth? Which I don't, by the way, so nobody raid me.
What basically you've heard just being described for the last 3 or 4 years with fake news, the fake news journalists, fake stories, fake dossier, all these things are attributes and characteristics of psychological warfare.
What did you name it ISI for?
I like the iPhone, Psi for psychological warfare.
Okay.
These operations aren't like just small things. They have to coordinate and organize all of these things. They have to coordinate with the assets they have in the media. And they have to do all of this without any attribution to themselves.
Okay, guys, so here is the deal. This is what I want to point out to you. What this does. Now, when these kind of documentaries come out, we often question ourselves if we can.
Says on YouTube is just had a channel up on YouTube for 3 weeks.
We often ask ourselves, is this credible? Can I believe it?
Yeah.
Were those people really doing the things that they said that they were doing?
Right.
when they come after the reporter that's exposing them with a grand jury indictment and arrest her on the day that she's about to expose what she's going to put in this video, you had better believe that every single thing in that documentary is for sure fact.
Well, and a lot of it is some of the stuff that we do know already.
But what I mean is, Tori says, is probably everything that she says that she is. The other guy, I didn't catch his name, probably everything that he says that he is. They probably did the things that they said they did. They have to have had access to all of these things, like Clinton's emails, scary stuff.
Right. So there's one clip I'm gonna play for you to give you an idea of what is in this.
Corruption Bureau in the Ukraine in 2009. They created it.
Let me see. We're going to go back a little bit to the Ukraine. Okay, we're going to the Ukraine. Here we go.
Create chaos and to influence an election. Bottom line, right? But those people that were directly involved with that were also directly involved with the shadow net.
So, you have knowledge of them using military-grade psychological warfare weapons on the President of the United States.
Done by the closest people around him, too.
As Trump's election unfolded and as all of the Russia collusion and all these things started happening and becoming exposed, revealed to me it was to keep from exposing the stuff that they've been doing over here, which I believe includes the Maidan massacre in Ukraine.
Where did the dossier come from? Nellie Orr testified it came from the Ukraine. Where's all the money laundering and crazy IIAs we see going on?
That's government sponsored.
So Manafort's being accused of social media influence operations in Ukraine in 2010. World courts charged him with that.
Ukraine was the epicenter of everything. Like everything. And that's because we had named that nation and made them kneel to us. Barack Hussein Obama did it. You know, we deployed troops, National Guard, of course. And what states are the ones that work with Ukraine? It would be California and New York. So we deployed troops there because, you know, they weren't listening. It's like, why would you want to stay independent and hang out with the Russians when you can be with us, the Americans and the Europeans? And they were really upset that they weren't willing to commit to receive debt from the EU and ignore Russia, which they had been attached to for eons. So we went in there and destroyed them. That's how Hunter Biden got his job. That's how we weaseled our way in there. We got a hold of corrupt people. We said, we'll help you out with your lawsuits. You get us in there. We wrote bills. We sent them money so we can help
I'm not happy. My friend's in jail.
Conduct elections.
Oh, she's not in jail. She's in some sort of FBI.
The Obama aid package in Ukraine, which corresponds with Joe Biden's billion-dollar loan guarantee scandal, is the same aid package where Seidel got a field office in Kiev to provide election training and election management for the Ukrainian Election Commission. Seidel is one of the most notorious outsourced companies for elections, with regular electronic voting machine problems, who also tabulate our election results in cloud services in Europe, aka servers outside the United States. A whistleblower leaked to me in 2019 internal documents from Seidel that appeared to show meddling in the Kentucky election.
Atlantic Council has been deciding America's policies for decades now. And look at what a panic they were in when Trump made that phone call to Ukraine. They went into absolute panic mode. 75% of the people testifying were all directly connected to General Jones, McCain, and Atlantic Council.
The now IG of the NSA, literally with his wife, created the National Anti-Corruption Bureau in the Ukraine in 2009. They created it.
Robert Storch is the deputy head of the U.S. Inspector General's office.
Це пан Storch. По скайпу є зв'язок у нас?
I recognize how important this task is for Naboo and for the effort to address corruption there in Ukraine.
September 30th, 2016. Obama knows that within 30 days, if the NSA can't fix the overcollection problem by either dumping data or justifying having it, the FISA court will order the IG of the NSA to investigate. So what does Obama do? He writes an executive order that makes the IG of the NSA a presidential appointment rather than an appointment by the director of the NSA. November 30th, 2016. Obama nominates Robert Storch, who is working as Deputy IG of the DOJ under Horowitz at the same time.
I'm Rob Storch, and I'm honored to serve as the Inspector General at the National Security Agency.
During the transition period from the Obama administration into the Trump administration, Storch appears to never have actually been confirmed by the Trump administration.
How did this guy get confirmed? Not one person asked, hey, have you ever worked for... I mean, a couple months before they even had the hearing to see if he's going to be confirmed or not, nobody asked him, hey, did you by any chance get an offer from the president of Ukraine to work for them? It was all over the media, but not one person asked. You know who else helped them set it up? Bill Taylor and George Kent, those two clowns, also testified against the president. One of them has supersonic hearing. They could hear phones that are not on speakerphone from across the room. So
that's odd. According to Tory, the alleged impeachment whistleblower was actually a wiretap, hence supersonic hearing capabilities. Eric Ciaramella was a decoy to hide the fact that the president was being wiretapped through a 702 data overcollection problem connected to the Sunset Clause.
2 years
collection
later.
Problem that the NSA Inspector General Robert Storch oversaw.
So the question is, what has been the Senate Intelligence Committee? All complacent, every single one of them. Because it's their job to be our voice and ask those questions.
So I mean, I guess
because they're in on it.
So I guess the question is, are they all just that inept? Or is there something else going on? Section 702 of the FISA Amendment Act of 2008 was created to stop illegal surveillance through data collection. It ends up being used as cover, providing the intelligence agencies front-facing legal access to unauthorized data, while turning a blind eye to private contractors having backdoor access to all data.
I had access through the administrative side platform, because I was one of the first on it, to be able to see all communications between people like Adam Schiff, Brennan, Feinstein's staffers, and General Jones, and many more that I don't want to say because I haven't publicized that yet, actually. Because there's foreign people. I did see communications of former GCHQ head Hannigan. Robert Hannigan was part of the company at GCHQ,
right here.
right?
We could play the entire thing. Here's the deal, guys. As I'm re-listening to this, because I watched the entire documentary this afternoon, and our internet has been really, really slow lately too, but what happens when your internet is being piggybacked is it's going to slow down when you... So
we always talking to our computers. Hey, how you doing? Jesus loves you.
I have a sneaking suspicion. I have a sneaking suspicion that what has happened to Millie, the fact that they were having such amazing internet problems going into this, is they were being spied on, and the people that were spying on them wanted to know just what exactly did they have. Okay, but they found that whatever they had, which was enough to get a grand jury to indict them, to send out the feds to arrest them. It's not the local sheriff or police officers that knocked on their door to arrest them. The feds went in to arrest them.
They were FBI?
Alex said it was the feds. Okay, this is a federal... No. I could be wrong about that. I don't want to spread false news, but I'm pretty sure it was the feds. This is a federal government investigation. Okay, on her. It has to be. It's not local. It's not. It can't be.
It's Ohio. Well, it is Ohio U.S. Attorney General.
Okay. Well, it's more than just your local cops The local cops are not sitting at their desks investigating Millie Weaver.
It wasn't like burglary of the 7-Eleven.
No, the burglary that apparently that they're going to try to pursue her with is this same kind of burglary that they go after. A grand jury. A grand jury. You don't get a grand jury. Okay? This is just it's like Tori said. This is unheard of. I'm in shock. But my point is, I can guarantee you that the feds and possibly the CIA are the ones. She even said the NSA was coming after her, right? They were probably wiretapping and infiltrating all of her computer dealings. They knew exactly where they were at in this documentary. They knew, probably from listening in on them, that their plans were to drop this thing today, and that's why they arrested them today.
So Tori says, has a Twitch. You have to, I guess, join and pay to get her podcast on Twitch. But I wanted to...
412 says, aren't grand juries always federal? I was under that impression, whatever. Excuse me. I think you're right. That's why it has to be the feds. This is not local.
It has to be... Well, no, it's not local. I didn't know if the local sheriff came to arrest her or not, but if it was I didn't see FBI on their uniforms or whatever. But here you can find it on YouTube still. What they don't want you to see it. Tori says, Tore says. So God, we just lift up Millie Weaver and Gavin and their family. I pray you comfort the children. I pray that you get her out of jail, get her on bail. I pray that all these charges will be just trumped up. I plead the blood of Jesus over her. I pray that your angels will surround her. And I pray that she will become incredibly famous because of this. And that her name will get out there and her video will get out there. And that those that she was trying to expose will go to jail.
Amen.
And she will be out.
Amen.
And we ask that you do this quickly. In Jesus' name, pray, amen.
Amen. So I think that what you should probably do is roll right into that attorney, the FBI guy that has decided to squawk.
Yeah,
Kevin Kleinsmith.
Yeah, there's a lot to Kevin Kleinsmith. But last night, Bill Barr was on Sean Hannity to explain that there was something going to go down soon. And something went down soon. So his name is Kevin Kleinsmith, and he pled guilty today. Now,
he's a former FBI lawyer.
It's hard for me to understand how they got to Roger Stone quicker than they got to this guy, because it is proven fact that he altered an email in order to present it to the FISA court, and we've been hearing about this for a couple of years, on the Carter Page FISA application in order to spy on him and the Trump campaign.
Right.
There's a lot to this. This guy is part of the resistance. He's the guy who texted out in the emails, or texted out in the text, "Viva the la resistance."
Not to be confused with the resistance chicks and what we stand for.
No, the resistance against Trump.
We were first.
Kleinsmith, in order to save himself, though, has actually implicated others. Okay, so he pled guilty to altering the Carter Page evidence to support the FISA warrant.
Wow.
To spy on the Trump campaign in 2016.
Gosh.
But he has implicated others in order to try to cut a deal.
Do it, man.
About the Crossfire Hurricane. He's 38 years old. He altered an email from CIA investigators used to request a FISA warrant. What's very interesting is that Kleinsmith falsely said Carter Page never worked as a CIA source. However, that's what he told the FISA court. Carter Page had been a CIA source.
Shocking.
According to Durham's charging document, and also in I.G. Horowitz's report, which you cannot ignore, certain individuals on the Crossfire Hurricane were told in an August 2016 memorandum that Page was a CIA asset. So who else knew? Why are they signing these FISA? Why are they signing off to present this information to the FISA court, knowing that Carter Page is part of an incoming or a possible Trump campaign, Trump presidential campaign, and they're spying on Trump? That's what they're doing. They're spying on Donald Trump. Despite members of the FBI Crossfire's Hurricane team knowing Carter Page was a CIA asset, that information was omitted from the first 3 FISA warrants on Carter Page. Mr. Kleinsmith had provided an unchanged CIA email to the Crossfire Hurricane agents and the Justice Department lawyer drafting the original wiretap application. So at first, he's like, listen, we know that he was a source, but he altered it and said he wasn't a source. So everybody knew that he had been a CIA source. Right. And everybody, and even the lawyer drafting the original wiretap application in October of 2016 knew he had been a source. Okay? So who else knew about the lies? This tidbit, Mr. Kleinsmith had provided the unchanged CIA email to Crossfire Hurricane agents and the Justice Department lawyers, so he's implicating other people. I'm not going down for this by myself.
I wouldn't go down for it by myself either. My concern for Mr. Kleinsmith is that you might just go down, 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 down.
So who ultimately hid the exculpatory information from the FISA court? That's one of the main questions.
Who's the bigger fish? Kleinsmith is a little fish, but he's a little fish with information. And the fact that we've got Bill Barr saying, this is big, there's more to come.
Trump reacts to this. You know what he says? It's just the beginning.
He knows it all. Trump knows it all.
On Friday reacted to this news that the FBI lawyer had pled guilty or would plead guilty. He says that's just the beginning, I would imagine. Describing Kleinsmith as a corrupt attorney working for James Comey, a very corrupt FBI. This is the first indictment in the investigation into the FBI's investigation into the Trump campaign. Attorney General Bill Barr appointed John Durham. Trump says it's a terrible thing. The fact is they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Yep.
The news broke Friday that Kleinsmith would plead guilty to altering this email. Now, what Bill Barr also said was, we are not using the election as a timetable for our investigation. However, we are definitely very aware that what we're producing could alter an election. So we're going to be careful. Now remember,
there's a deadline. I think it's like September, whatever. It's like 60 days.
2 months.
Is it 2 months before that they can't do anything that might alter an election. So they're kind of down to the wire. They have to get this done now.
Now, this is the guy right here. This is one of your traitors. Okay, you can put him up next to Bennett.
He looks like a little Leave It to Beaver. Kind of a patsy, like some dumb guy.
But get this. He was also found to have sent several anti-Trump texts after Trump was elected. He says, "Viva la resistance." He texted 2 FBI colleagues in November after Trump won when asked if he would serve in the Trump administration. Of course I will serve in the Trump administration. I will long live the resistance within the Trump administration. Kleinsmith's texts and the decision to alter the email were featured in the report by Department of Justice Inspector Michael Horowitz. The New York Times confirmed that Kleinsmith was FBI Attorney 2 in the Horowitz report. In his text, Kleinsmith also expressed disappointment after election that the crazies won finally, and that the Trump administration would be Tea Party on steroids. The GOP is going to be lost. They have to deal with an incumbent in 4 years. We have to fight this. Also, Pence is stupid. Kleinsmith also blamed the FBI for the Trump victory, saying then Director James Comey's letter confirming the investigation of Hillary Clinton's emails was still open broke the momentum. I'm so stressed about what I could have done differently.
Wow.
Kleinsmith also wrote that he feared Trump's systemic disassembly of the progress we made over the last 8 years.
And that's scary.
He argued to the Inspector General that his texts were personal commentary and did not affect his professional work on the investigation. Mm-hmm. The Trump-Russia investigation.
Right.
Viva la resistance. Liar, liar, pants on fire. I think I had one more from Daily Caller, but I guess.
So the point is, if you want to wrap up that segment, is we've got Millie Weaver, we have Kevin Kleinsmith admitting that he has pled guilty. He's going to plead guilty. And it's all tied together. All right. So if you can, watch the documentary that Millie put out. Pray for her.
Yeah.
Go to Ezra Levant's Rebel Media and find out, and I'll try to find it and put it in the link so that you can donate to her GoFundMe. We never ask you guys to donate to us on this channel, but I am going to ask you to donate to our friend Millie. She's obviously going to need the best of the best of
I don't know if Linwood could get on it or not.
Representation. Linwood kind of has his hands full, but here's the deal. When I envision Millie right now, she's in holding. She's probably not in like some sort of jail cell behind bars. She's probably in a room with a lamp above her head where they are literally trying to get into her brain, trying to get into her husband's brain, and then pit the things that they're saying against each other. I mean, this is intense. This is really awful. My heart breaks for her. She knew what she was getting into. Okay, when you play with fire, you could get burned.
I don't know. She's been doing this stuff for years.
I gotta tell you, no. If Alex said to her, and I'm not taking Alex's word for it, I'm saying, if Alex said to her, I love what y'all are doing, don't tell me any of the stuff that you uncover, I don't want to know. Okay? And I'm in the same boat. Honestly, we expose a lot of things. There's a reason why I'm not an investigative journalist. And I mean, like, literally going in to find out this kind of stuff. I don't want the feds to raid my house. All right? I don't want to be that kind of hero. Millie deserves every bit of prayer and praise, and she is a hero. I'm just saying, when you get into this kind of stuff and you know all of the ins and outs, you know about the Clinton body count, you find out all this stuff, you understand they could come after me.
Carter Page says, corrupt FBI attorney Kevin Kleinsmith put my very life at risk. The actions of Kevin Kleinsmith, the corrupt former FBI investigation lawyer who was charged in federal court today with falsifying evidence, threatened the life of Carter Page, says the former naval officer and Trump campaign affiliate. The DOJ charged Kleinsmith with deliberately fabricating evidence used to justify a federal warrant. Kleinsmith, his organization, and their associates put my very life at risk, leading to abusive calls and death threats because of my personal opinions and support for President Trump. There is a long way to go on the road to restoring justice in America, but certainly a good step. After several years, Kevin Kleinsmith is finally being held accountable and pleading guilty to committing a felony for his involvement in the plot to falsely portray me and by implication the Trump administration as traitors. The actions by the full band of government officials and Democrat operatives involved in the creation of the false applications for my FISA warrants were entirely unconscionable. So, in 2016, 2017, the FBI and DOJ falsely swore to a federal surveillance court that Page was a secret Russian agent who was likely in the process of committing crimes against the United States. Page was never formally charged with any wrongdoing. The FBI surveillance court authorized 4 separate warrants to spy on Page. Well, Kleinsmith and the FBI failed to disclose in the application for the spy warrants, which were based primarily on false claims from a foreign agent working on behalf of the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, and the DNC, was that Page had actually worked on behalf of the U.S. intelligence authorities from 2008 to 2013 to investigate actual Russia intelligence agents working to harm the United States. The FBI was notified by the CIA in August 2016 that Page, a graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy, had officially worked as a source for the agency for years. According to a report by the DOJ Office of Inspector General on the corrupt processes used to obtain the spy warrants against Page, the FBI withheld the existence of documents confirming Page's work for the U.S. attorneys. And I wonder, honestly, if they had not gotten... The FISA warrants were the beginning of the Trump-Russia investigation. This was their door in, supposedly going after a man as maybe having ties or secretly having ties for Russia, but he worked for the United States exposing Russians.
Right.
Instead of including this information in the final review application, the OIG report stated Kleinsmith altered an email from the other agency, said that the email stated that Page was not a source for the other agency, which the FBI affidavit relied upon in signing the final review application. In his new books, How an Innocent American Was Framed in an Attempted Coup Against the President, which is set to be released in 10 days, Page discloses brand new details about Kleinsmith's interaction with him through 2016-2017. Kleinsmith falsely told Page's attorney in the spring of 2017, long after the FBI had reportedly sworn under oath to a federal court that Page was illegally operating as an agent of the Russian government, that Page was merely a witness that the FBI wished to interview as part of his investigation into so-called Russian collusion. Both my attorney and I noted to Kleinsmith that every flurry of publicity about my purported treason often led to another round of abusive calls and death threats. As if I weren't already concerned enough about becoming the apparent target of several investigations, I now have perpetual worries about my own safety. It was all part of a broader campaign by the Democrat Party and their allies to set me up for prosecution in prison. The first majestic paragraph from H.G. Wells' War of Worlds came to mind. Intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic slowly and surely drew their plans against me. The only difference was that one would be hard-pressed to find much intellect among the sorry cast of characters that helped advance this plot.
Wow.
Wow is right. Wow.
So I just put Millie's GoFundMe into the chat. I also have put it into the description. There is only $2,700 there. That needs to get up way, 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 way higher. So if you guys ever consider donating to our show, instead today, please go to that GoFundMe and donate to Millie.
Yeah. Let's see if there's any more from Viva la Resistance. Durham. Durham has been probing whether Obama officials illegally collected intelligence on the Trump campaign and whether the agency's surveillance of Trump campaign aides was free of improper motive. Bill Barr on Fox News said that there would be significant developments before the election, but that today's wasn't going to be earth-shattering. So he let us know it's pretty big. It seems earth-shattering that the FBI would be plotting against a presidential campaign.
Right.
But that's not the earth-shattering.
Meaning there's more. But wait, this is like an infomercial. It's literally like, but wait, there's more. They're going to keep rolling out, I believe.
But instead would provide an indication that things are going along at a proper pace as dictated by the facts in this investigation. He says, we're not going to do this on the election schedule. We're aware of the election. We're not going to do anything inappropriate before the election, but we're not going to be dictated by this schedule.
Thank you.
So, by designating it a criminal investigation, Durham was granted the power to subpoena documents and witnesses to impanel a grand jury, like they did against Millie, and to file criminal charges. Last April, Barr said that he believes spying had taken place against the Trump campaign, and he doesn't buy former FBI officials' version about how the collusion investigation actually began. So on Thursday night, Bill Barr told Sean Hannity that if people cross the line, if people involved in that activity violate a criminal law, they will be charged.
All right, so I just did a little quick Google search, and this is really, really short, and I want to give you what happens when you get indicted by a grand jury. This is what happened to Millie today, and this is what Leah just brought up just now. When a person is indicted, he is given formal notice, Millie was not, that it is believed that he committed a crime. That grand jury listens to the prosecutor and witnesses and then votes in secret on whether they believe that enough evidence exists to charge the person with a crime.
It doesn't take much to get a grand jury charge, but you can have secret grand juries. The fact that she wasn't known, usually you know, the person's known. Now, Jack Posobiec says Durham never interviewed Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Brennan, and Clapper. So much for that then.
Okay.
So don't get too excited, Q-ites. I'm just saying.
I still kind of think it's a federal thing because this is the U.S. Department of Justice.
Yeah.
You know.
It's got to be if it's secret, right? She didn't know about it.
She didn't know about it.
All right. We're going to move on to some other stuff.
We have a lot of news. It wasn't going to be our show at all today. Well, except for Kevin Kleinsmith and his, presumptive guilty plea.
Yeah. Stop playing politics with the virus. Trump slams Biden's call for mandatory mask wearing. President Trump slammed Joe Biden for calling on governors to mandate that all Americans wear masks for guess how many months?
3 months.
Oh,
Count
you
them
mean
1
until the election?
3. How many licks of the coronavirus does it take
Trump
to get to the center of an election?
Biden had been wrong about the coronavirus pandemic at every term, ignoring the scientific evidence and putting left-wing politics before facts and evidence. Trump also suggested that Biden was advocating for the president to use executive power to institute the nationwide mask mandate.
You know, and I love this so much because they're always saying that Trump is a dictator.
I know.
And so it almost seems like Biden is saying, please do something that a dictator would do. Please do this because a dictator would do this.
No, I think he's
it's
saying,
a joke. I'm
I
joking.
think what he's really saying is, I'm the real dictator.
I'm joking.
I know.
They don't have... Carry on.
Why
he's not a dictator. They are the ones that want to implement
they would like him
the dictatorial
they would like him to do certain things that would
policies.
make him into a dictator, so they can call him a dictator.
Right.
But they really are the ones who are dictators.
Exactly.
Trump said that Biden was in favor of locking all Americans in their basements for months on end. To Joe, I would say stop playing politics with the virus. On Thursday, Trump said it's patriotic for Americans to wear a mask. Maybe they're great, and maybe they're just good. Maybe they're not so good. Let's see.
What he went on to say, because I watched that live, he said, listen, you can wear them. What does it hurt? But essentially what he was trying to say is you don't really need to wear them.
No, but this is what Joe Biden says. Joe Biden says the estimates by the experts are that it will save 40,000 lives in the next 3 months. 40,000 lives if people act responsibly. Biden is suggesting that 3 months in a 3-month time frame, but 3 months from now doesn't get us any close at the end of fall. I said this, and then in the start of the new flu. No, it gets us to the election when all of a sudden everybody else will be over the pandemic, and we'll just go back to it's not a big deal anymore.
Yeah, if you're literally asking yourself and you're getting kind of tired of all this and you're like, I don't like the lines, I don't like the social distancing, I don't like the masks, I don't like all this stuff, when is it going to be over? Is it going to be when they have a vaccine? Guys, I know that you want to think that, and I am behind that kind of conspiracy theory a little bit, all right? I don't think they're going to accomplish it, but it really just has to do with the election. That's their main purpose for a lot of this, the panic. And if you watch Millie's documentary, you will find that it's social engineering.
Exactly. So in her documentary, she talks about things like
with fear,
the Obama phones. Okay, and then people have access to information at the fingertip. They're given data, free data. Okay, so then you can influence people. Yeah. You can influence supposedly they're saying that the Ferguson riots were influenced by the free Obama phones.
Have you ever heard of these influencers on Instagram? Most normal people are not on Instagram, but there are these people called Instagram influencers.
Without a smartphone in your hands, there's no way for you to know, I'm going to go riot here. I'm going to go over here.
Right.
You have to go home. You got to turn on the news.
Right.
You got to hear it from somebody else. But as Millie answered, what do you think? Do you think that the social media were created and the iPhones to get information to people, to get them to act quickly on things?
Right.
Without social media, we probably wouldn't have the ability to make everybody wear a mask.
Well, but my point is with the Instagram thing is these models, these people, these everyday people become what are called Instagram influencers, and they go to specific places, they use specific products, they take pictures that people just like to look at, and it's an advertising thing, okay? Because people that follow these people are influenced by just looking at a picture. And so that's where we get that term from, people being able to be easily influenced by what their eyes are consuming. And that's what you were getting to with the Obama phone. They gave these people free phones, they gave them data, and then they influenced them to do certain things.
Yeah.
And that was the whole goal.
So this is a sad story, but it's important that everybody cover it because all lives matter. A young 5-year-old boy, a white 5-year-old boy, was shot point blank in the head by a black man, his neighbor. The young boy's name was Cannon Hinnant. The neighbor has been arrested and is charged with first-degree murder. What is so sad about this is that this man here, Darius Sessmans, he was at his neighbor's house the night before to eat with them. supposedly this little white boy rode his bicycle on this man's property, and he gets out, he walks over as he's on his bicycle in front of his siblings and shoots him in his head and kills him. What is going on? He's 20.
It's, to me, it has to be a mental disability.
But I personally think it has to do with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
Kill the white people, kill white children, hate them, murder them. It's like...
But why he had been at their house and he's friendly enough to eat with them and then shoot the child the next day, to me, strikes of who is the most susceptible to this kind of thing. It's going to be the mentally disturbed.
Obviously somehow mentally disturbed for sure.
Linder says, I'm sick of the masks. I went to Red Lobster today. Everyone had to wear a mask to the tables. Once there, you get to take them off. You then put the mask on to leave. Does that make sense?
No, and I won't eat in a restaurant. It's too depressing.
We haven't eaten in a restaurant since before COVID.
This afternoon, confirmed
Who would? You would.
Available yet, but here's what we know. Wilson PD and members of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force arrested Darius Simmons. He's charged with the murder of 5-year-old Cannon Hinnant. It happened late Sunday evening near the boy's home on Archers Road in Wilson. Police say a gunshot wounded the boy, who died later at Wilson Medical Center. His neighbors across the street remember a happy child who visited often. But yesterday, while eating dinner, they heard a shot, called 911, then heard a father's anguished cries. They tell us he stood on their porch with the child in his arms, bleeding from a head wound after the gunman took off.
Our neighbor saw it. She said the young man just walked up to the little boy who was sitting on his bike. I just don't understand why he did it. How can you walk up to a little boy point blank and put a gun to his head and just shoot him? How can anyone do that?
Wilson police say they will release more details about the arrest later. Reporting for...
I don't have any commentary on that. Other people do. I do. My commentary is I think that this is part from some of the comments I've seen people say, yeah, good for them, and they're just trying to start a race war.
Yeah.
So moving on to something that is not so traumatic, but bad. FBI seizes a bunch of fake IDs, mostly from China. Because they're able to do everything they can copy all IDs from all states. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection has been seizing an increasing number, because they have always had them, of fake IDs, including driver's licenses in recent years. Most come from China and are good enough to fool an average person. In 2019, CBP seized more than 78,000 fake documents, an increase of almost 58,000 from the year earlier, and some 26,000 in 2015. So we're getting up there. This year, the agency is on pace to intercept even more, nearly 55,000 documents seized as of August 10th. The vast majority of the fake IDs we seize are coming from China. And it says the officers are highly effective at detecting fraudulent documents. So for us, these are obvious fakes. Of greater concern are the fake IDs that do not fall into this category. The majority are in the age range that indicate that they are using them to drink underage, but some of them don't. We do see some fake IDs that are clearly not intended for underage drinking. Obviously, fake IDs can be used for a wide range of nefarious activities. So the IDs arrived from China, Hong Kong, the United Kingdom, and South Korea, and were in the majority of cases headed for neighboring states, mostly to college-age students. One concern is that the barcode attached to the Michigan licenses actually worked.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
The fraudulent identity documents can lead to identity theft and other issues. In November 2019, they intercepted more than 5,000 fake IDs, or the blank cards used to make them, in Louisville, Kentucky, sent from China. We're headed to various states around the country. What is disconcerting about these interceptions, besides the volume in which we experience, is the ease to which many young people freely share their information with counterfeiters abroad. Here's my social security. Here's this, here's that.
You know, I feel like I look pretty young. But I am old enough to remember the old days when, to make a fake ID, all you needed was a photograph, a typewriter, and a lamination device. I mean, like, seriously, it wasn't that difficult to create a fake ID way back when. You know, like at least something that kind of, at least to the average Joe, looked like, you know, was passable.
You ready for some good news in this world?
Yes.
Donald Trump worked with Jared Kushner and the princes of the UAE, United Arab Emirates, to create the Abraham Accord, a historic Middle East peace treaty. The last time there was another normalization of relations was 26 years ago with Jordan. Israel only has good relations, or I would say normal relations. What I mean by normal relations, I'm going to play a video from a lady from India, because actually she spells it out really good. What I mean by normalization of relations is they don't have embassies. The countries don't talk to each other.
No, they are enemies.
Yeah.
You don't have relations when they're your enemy. It's not just not having normal relations, it's you are my enemy, I want you to die.
Yeah, let me go ahead and just give you an idea of what's going down here, what's shaking. Let's see here.
All of that will change now. Let me tell you what happens next. Israel and the UAE will now establish full diplomatic relations. Both sides will set up their embassies, their diplomats can meet, leaders will hold bilateral talks.
Bilateral.
Now to the question of why this is so significant. What is the big deal? It's big because in West Asia, no Gulf country has a diplomatic relationship with Israel, which means Israel is not recognized by most of West Asia, except for three countries, Jordan, Egypt, and now the UAE. And like all stories, this too has a backstory. It's not like these countries have never engaged. All activities that used to happen behind the scenes will now happen in public view. That is the difference, and it's a big difference. Security cooperation can be made public. Israeli companies can now open offices in the UAE. Israeli passports will now be recognized on the borders of the UAE. In the coming weeks, delegations from both sides will meet. They will sign several bilateral deals covering pretty much everything under the sun. Investment, tourism, direct flights, technology, communication, you name it. So what is the United States doing here? Well, a few years back, US President Donald Trump had unveiled his peace plan for West Asia, an attempt to settle the long-standing territorial dispute between Israel and Palestine. Trump's plans heavily favor Israel. One of the major sticking points is the ownership of West Bank. It's a chunk of land that lies towards the west of River Jordan, hence the name West Bank. Now, Israel and Palestine both stake claim over this piece of land. But West Bank has been occupied by Israel since 1967. Donald Trump's plan allots different territories of the West Bank to Israel. But that agreement has not gone anywhere. So some time back, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu decided to annex these territories, take them. After yesterday's announcement, Netanyahu has put these plans on hold, at least for now. And that is the single biggest takeaway from this deal. Israel and the UAE have established diplomatic ties, and a potential flare-up has been avoided. With less than 90 days left for the US election, Donald Trump is taking a victory lap.
It will allow much greater access to Muslims from throughout the world to visit the many historic sites in Israel, which the Muslims want to see very badly and have wanted to see for many, many decades, and to peacefully pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is a very special place for them. I want to thank the leaders of Israel and the UAE for their courage and for their leadership to forge this tremendous agreement. It will be known as the Abraham Accord.
In Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is taking a victory lap too. Two reasons for this. First, he has a way out of the annexation plan that was frankly going nowhere. And second, Netanyahu will contest the next election in Israel from a position of strength.
The establishment of a full and formal peace between Israel and the UAE. It includes the mutual opening of embassies, direct flights, and many, many other bilateral agreements. This is the greatest advancements toward peace between Israel and the Arab world in the last 26 years, and it marks the third formal peace between Israel and an Arab nation.
What about Palestinian leaders? Well, they're not happy about this. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has denounced the accord. Another Palestinian leader said that the UAE has stabbed them with a poisonous dagger.
In exchange for this, we will sell out Palestine and Palestinian rights. And the irony is, after doing all of this, they come and say we did that for the Palestinians. No, you did not do that for me. I never expected this dagger, poison dagger, to come from an Arab country.
Iran sees the Abraham Accord as a threat. Its sworn enemies, the UAE and Israel, have joined hands. What could be worse? Iran says this is a dangerous deal.
Iran says this is a dangerous deal. Now, what's hilarious about this is Joe Biden is claiming that he helped.
What?
Joe Biden helped Middle East peace deal only by being so hostile to it, says David Freeman, the U.S. ambassador to Israel. On Friday morning, he said these remarks after former VP Joe Biden had contributed to the peace deal between Israel and United Arab Emirates only by being so hostile. The deal, known as the Abraham Accord, was announced by President Donald Trump in the Oval Office yesterday morning and provides a full normalization for the first time between Israel and the Gulf Arab state. It is expected to lead to similar deals with other Arab states. Even liberal critics of President Trump praised his huge achievement, calling the deal a breakthrough and an earthquake. Biden rushed in to take some of the credit. The coming together of Israel and the Arab states builds on the efforts of multiple administrations to foster a broader Arab-Israeli opening, including the efforts of the Obama-Biden administration to build on the Arab Peace Initiative.
Oh, really?
I personally spent time with leaders of both Israel and the UAE during our administration.
Such a joke.
Building the case for cooperation, come on, man, and the broader engagement and the benefits it could deliver to both nations. I sat down and I said, come on, man. And I'm gratified by today's announcement. And I sniffed their hair.
Stop it.
However, Friedman said if Biden deserved credit, it was only because he was so hostile to both Israel and the UAE, and they realized they had to work together. I think the credit that Biden deserves is that they were so bad and so hostile to both Israel and the Emirates that it just caused them both to commiserate a little bit, which was something they were able to take advantage of when President Trump took office. So to that extent, I think the Obama policy was so terrible that it probably created more of a commonality of interest between Israel and the Emirates. The Iran nuclear deal in particular, which was enthusiastically pushed by the Obama-Biden administration, was a threat to Israel and UAE. Friedman has played a key role in several achievements in the Middle East policy, under which the relocation of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, the recognition of Israel as sovereignty over the Golan Heights, and the withdrawal from the Iran nuclear deal, the new Middle East peace plan that allows Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, and the creation of a new constellation of pro-U.S. Arab alliances, and makes room for Israel in the region.
So, Patriot Galler and I have a full-blown conspiracy theory. I had the same thought, and she did as well. So I want to pull up this map of the Middle East. All right? So if you will look in, let me kind of zoom in here. Here we have Israel, all right, in Jerusalem. Lebanon over here is where the Beirut bombing took place, right? So that's really, really close. Now, all the way over here is where you have the United Arab Emirates. Now, I understand that they are very far away. Let me zoom out here, see if I can get this to zoom out a little bit. All right. All of this is the Middle East, okay? We got Afghanistan kind of over here and all this stuff. There's a lot going on in this area. Everybody is upset at Israel right here. Now, we see Benjamin Netanyahu hold up, we showed this on Sunday's show, where these weapons caches or whatever are here in Lebanon, okay? And then it miraculously, no, that's not the right word, it magically explodes, okay?
Yeah.
Ammonium nitrate is not in and of itself a bomb, okay?
No, right.
It just can be used for fertilizer, and it can be used for other things.
And it has to have a set.
It has to have something to set it off.
Right.
Okay? So, there is I'm just going to throw this out there. If Israel is desperate. None of these, do you see how big the Middle East is? None of these people recognize their existence. None of them. No one. This is a mass. This is a huge land mass.
Egypt and Jordan.
Okay, excuse me. Egypt and Jordan recognize them. All of these people do not. They go to these, gatherings where they don't even acknowledge that they are a country. It's bad. The relations are horrible. Israel needs somebody in the Middle East to recognize their existence. So it's possible they decide we need a show of power. They display a show of power, and then all of a sudden someone steps up within, a week or two? All of a sudden this miraculous peace treaty, the Abraham Accord happens.
Well, if you look at that map, the UAE not having good relations with Iran, it poses a big threat for them. So if they think that Lebanon is housing any sort of weapons for Iran, they're going to want some
protection.
Yeah, I think.
All right, so I'm just saying that I don't believe that these two events are unrelated. Let's just put it that way. I just don't think they're unrelated.
So Kamala Harris is the VP. We're gonna just throw out little things here and there about her. This one I felt was particularly
Kamala.
Whatever.
That's how you say
Kamala
her name.
Harris.
Kamala.
Yeah, well, Kamala chose not to prosecute a single abusive priest.
She chose not to.
The executive director of a national network of survivors of sexual abuse by priests said in a statement sent to Breitbart News that then District Attorney Kamala Harris from California chose to ignore an opportunity to investigate priests in San Francisco for abusing children. However, she did try to sue and throw a pro-life investigator in jail and ruined his life.
We're probably just not ever going to say her name right on this show. You heard it once. It's Kamala, but we're just going to say Kamala.
Doesn't matter. Biden mispronounced it.
Biden did mispronounce her name, and it was hilarious.
So can I.
Go ahead.
Zach Hinner, the executive director of Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests, SNAP, corroborated the bombshell details about Harris revealed by Breitbart News senior contributor Peter Schweitzer.
Sorry to interrupt. Michelle, the same thing happened when they dropped the bomb on Japan. It ended the war, so that ended...
Hiroshima ended the war. There is that. However, there is the UAE, United Arab Emirates. I always want to say Emirates, like there's an N on. There's not. It's Emirates. Okay, they didn't have anything to do with the bombing. Okay, per se, they weren't like.
I think what she's trying to say is that there was a show of strength. We don't know how that blew up.
Right.
And the UAE's like, you know what?
Hey, they may have some.
So, linking to a video with The Intercept that profiles Harris's conduct as San Francisco's district attorney, Hinner says Senator Kamala Harris, as the district attorney for San Francisco, chose to ignore an opportunity in 2004 to continue to the work of her predecessor, Terrence Hallinan, who was compiling dossiers about abuse in the Archdiocese of San Francisco with the intention of investigating and cracking down on the Archdiocese. Despite the work that he had done, when Harris assumed the office, she stopped cooperating with the victims and chose not to prosecute a single priest.
Isn't that something?
My career has been based on an understanding, one, that as a prosecutor, my duty was to seek and make sure that the most vulnerable and voiceless among us are protected, and that is why I have personally prosecuted.
Joe is a survivor of a clear sexual abuse.
I have personally prosecuted violent crime that includes rape, child molestation, and homicide. And I have also...
When Kamala was San Francisco's district attorney, this guy sought her help in exposing the abuse.
I was born and raised Catholic. All my relatives were Catholic. I believed in God. That was my life. I was accepted to Salesian High School, which to me was an honor. Almost immediately after I got to the high school, I was befriended by the vice principal, Father Steve Whelan.
Creepy.
The very first incident, I was playing pool, and he masturbated in front of me.
Children, again, with
And I
the
was
thing.
scared to death.
Did you
I
watch
stood
this
there frozen.
earlier?
I was just a little
Okay, sorry about that. If you have
I
children
looked across
watching,
the
you may
room
not
and I
want to
thought,
watch
"Geez, I
this
need some
segment.
help." And Brother Sal Belanti was watching and enjoying it. And later I found out he was a serial molester rapist himself. When he got out of the PE to go into the showers, he would watch me. He would make comments about me undressing.
We're going to skip a little bit.
Thank you.
We can skip, but at the same time, when an abuse survivor is telling their story,
right,
I feel like it's not sensationalized and it's not fair to not hear their story. I don't know.
I just gave up on Catholicism. I gave up on God. I lost all sense of spirituality.
Well, but we didn't give anybody a warning to choose whether they wanted to hear it or not.
Okay, well, you're right.
I went with another victim to Terrence Hallinan's office, the DA's office in San Francisco, and we were introduced to Hallinan and another DA's assistant, who told us they virtually had all these boxes, about like a room full of files that they had gathered and collected and subpoenaed from the Diocese of San Francisco on all these priests. Bishop Levada at that time was the highest ranking bishop in the United States. Then he became cardinal. So this was the top guy. This was the kingpin in the United States. And we had a champion here that was going to go after him. We thought, well, this is going to go somewhere. These guys are going to be punished. They're going to be held accountable. They're going to be prosecuted.
38-year-old Kamala Harris came out of nowhere and was swept into office as San Francisco's district attorney.
In 2004, Kamala Harris was elected. Everything just went down the tubes. I started out by writing a letter asking for some help or some accessibility to the file. I didn't get any response. So then we made posters and started putting them all over the city, and we got no response. Several media members were also asking for files and stuff, and they were getting nothing. So in 2010, there was a big article in San Francisco Weekly, and they were pestering her office, and then what they got was this false statement that they were protecting victims. It's just a flat-out insult. She could have redacted the names, blacked out the names and left them out. Everything he did to gather information and to try and prosecute and go after them disappeared and went the other way. She shielded and protected them, and we were floored at what happened.
We also want to make sure that when a woman is raped, a child is molested, one human being is killed by another human being, we also want to make sure there's going to be consequence, and serious consequence for those crimes.
Liar.
Her participation in going after clergy or predators of the Catholic Church or bishops who had enabled these people was less than zero. I would like her to produce one clergy abuser or one bishop that she's even tried to prosecute. I'd like to hear it.
Wow. She's an awful person.
She is.
She's an awful person.
And do you guys remember on this show several times I have said that I felt like if there was anybody that could weasel their way into the VP, it would be her. I said it multiple times on this show. I know that she is the most conniving to try to get this spot.
Yeah.
I gotta be honest. On the one hand, I'm shocked that they gave it to her, but I'm not shocked because I know what kind of effort she put into it.
What I hope, though, is that some of what she did actually
is now
going to
get exposed.
So remember, the most egregious example of her malicious prosecution was of the filmmaker and anti-abortion activist David Daladin, who made the undercover videos of Planned Parenthood employees discussing how to make money from the sale of baby tissue. It was the first and only time undercover journalists have ever been prosecuted under an obscure California law. Worse, Kamala Harris reportedly acted after meeting with Planned Parenthood, which was apparently upset that Daladin had caught their employees in the act. The abortion group also wanted the videos suppressed. Daladin says that when the state executed search warrants on his home, its purpose was to seize unpublished videos to make sure they were never released. Harris, he said, colluded with a powerful left-wing interest group to abuse the First Amendment and punish him for exposing it.
Wow.
So much for fighting for the little guy. Harris also abused her powers of her office to target a political opponent. It was part of a pattern. She attempted to force Americans for Prosperity, a 501c3 group supported by the Koch brothers, to reveal its donors, though they are already known to the federal IRS. Harris tried to do at the state level what the IRS scandal had done throughout the country. And Mom had said, well, you do know some people have been... We know a personal friend who was asked, what is your relationship with the Tea Party? And we do know people who were kind of gone after through the Tea Party, but not to jail. Like Millie's been arrested. Still so upset about this. I'm going to be upset until she's out and everything's taken away. Put back right, which will be by the power of God in the name of Jesus. Harris tried to do at the state level what the IRS scandal did throughout the country, to bully and intimidate a conservative group. A district judge agreed that allowing Harris to accept the donor lists would allow harassment and suppress the group's constitutionally protected liberties. That judgment was overturned by the Ninth Circuit. What remains noteworthy about the case is Harris's behavior, singling out a conservative pro-business group for legal intimidation. Once she arrived in the U.S. Senate, Harris continued her abuse of power. She developed a habit of badgering witnesses and then turning her questioning into viral YouTube videos to raise campaign cash. Occasionally, this tactic backfired, as when she grilled Brett Kavanaugh, remember that, during the Supreme Court confirmation hearing, about whether he had discussed the Russian collusion investigation. Laughably, she had no evidence. Even the left-wing California media panned her performance. The most shocking example came in 2008 when Harris used a confirmation hearing for Ronald Vitelio, who had been nominated to lead the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement ICE, to compare ICE to the KKK. In an outrageous exchange, Harris accused ICE, which exists to enforce federal immigration laws, of being like racist vigilantes who lynched black Americans. She had no evidence, only perceptions. So
I like what Alan says. It made no sense for Biden to pick her. California is blue. He should have picked someone who would help win Texas or Florida. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Here is my take on everyone. I've had a couple of people put in the chat that she is not a natural born citizen. So in order to hold office, you have like a presidential office, you have to be a natural born citizen. Now it's not actually
and not subject to the powers of another to the jurisdiction of another foreign power.
Okay, well, but a natural born citizen means that your parents have to be citizens first. But that's not a law. It does. I looked it up today. Okay. It's not a law. Okay, it's a case citing back from the 1700s. It's the only known interpretation of it, what a natural born citizen is. Okay, but it's not literally. It says you have to be a natural born citizen, but there's no like specific definition other than that case. If
everybody makes it out to be you just have to be born
here. So I think that it's not on solid ground. But here's the deal, guys.
But her dad is from Jamaica and her mom is from India. And the real question was, the lawyer was putting the question was she, even though she was born in California, were her parents here permanently? Mm-hmm. Were they permanent residents? Were they subject to the American government?
Right.
Or were they still just here on or were they just here on visas, student visas or something?
But, guys, it doesn't really matter.
You don't need her off the ticket.
We don't want her off the ticket. You got to understand, okay? She was literally the weakest pick.
Yeah.
All right, she has so many skeletons in her closet.
No one likes her.
She doesn't know how to shut up. She has a big mouth. No one likes her.
She's not African American.
She is not African American. She's Jamaican and Indian American. All right? At best, she's American with brown skin.
Yeah.
At best. And that's great. That's fine. Fantastic. You can say she was the first female brown skin vice president. But that's it. That's as far as you can go with that. right?
Caribbean Indian.
I mean, come on. Guys, this is such great news. It's really good news.
So here, Trump is asked about Biden taking credit for the peace deal.
Yesterday, you announced a historic peace deal between Israel and the United Arab Emirates, and later in the day, Joe Biden tried to take credit for it.
That was a beauty.
What's your
We
response?
announced the deal, and I appreciate even the New York Times gave it great coverage and editorials today. Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, everybody was saying great. And this is something we've been working very hard on. And I saw where Sleepy Joe tried to claim credit for it. I'm trying to figure out how that one works. No, what he did is they made a terrible deal with Iran. And the deal was a horror show, and I ended it. They gave him $150 billion for nothing. They gave him $1.8 billion in cash for nothing. They got nothing from that deal except trouble. They did nothing. They're just like they've been weak on China, they've been weak on Russia, they've been weak on everyone, and they were the weakest of all on Iran. No, that was a great deal made by very talented people that work with me, and it's been praised all over the world. And what you'll see now is other countries will come into that deal, and you'll have peace in the Middle East. And Biden doesn't even know, he doesn't even know the name of the countries I'm talking about. Thank you very much, everybody.
Biden doesn't even know the names.
Honestly, he might have used to.
Yeah.
But now,
no, maybe.
you know, I want to call her young lady because she's older than you. We went to youth group with, shared, saying, please, all my conservative friends, I urge you to vote, to not vote party, to vote for your country. And I thought and I wanted to comment, but see, I try to avoid confrontation with people that we know on the internet. Like, I just don't think it's worth it. I have my own show. I can say whatever I want. She doesn't. But what I wanted to say was, actually, we have a lot of leftists that are doing that exact same thing. And they're going to be voting for Trump because they can't vote for a senile old man who is going to pass the torch on to a VP pick that is a hardcore two-faced socialist communist with a track record and history that is completely anti-American. So many leftists are deciding not to vote party, but to vote for their country and vote for Trump. And I just thought, like, what I wanted to comment on, I was like, you do realize that you're voting for a man with dementia. Like, with dementia. And that's sad.
So, you guys, you know, we covered Seth Rich. His name is Seth Rich. I remember Sean Hannity covered Seth Rich. Well, documents have been released in the Seth Rich case indicate a federal investigator claims he saw and read emails between Rich and WikiLeaks. Yesterday, more emails were released related to the Seth Rich case. Documents relate to a Fox News report that was eventually scrubbed. We've been following the Seth Rich case for years as the MSM has ignored the story, labeling it a conspiracy theory. Seth Rich was a young DNC employee who was murdered in Washington, D.C. in the summer of 2016. His death was labeled a robbery, but none of his personal items were taken. Many suspect that Rich provided the DNC emails to WikiLeaks in the fall of 2016 before the presidential election. Nearly all entities involved in the case have been reluctant to release any information related to the case. The FBI, the DOJ, the intel communities have consistently stalled efforts to obtain any related investigative material related to this case. But yesterday, Fox News released information that had related to the case per court order. And the information released showed that Fox News had a report that was eventually shelved related to the case. Here's some information on the Fox News report. The first item to note is that a FBI investigator claimed he had seen and read emails between Seth Rich and WikiLeaks. I hope all is well. I'm sorry about how things worked out. I still believe we will be vindicated. And then it says, a federal investigator who reviewed an FBI forensic report generated within 96 hours after DNC staffer Seth Rich's murder and detailed the context of Rich's computer, said he made contact with WikiLeaks through Gavin McFadden, a now deceased American investigative reporter, documentary filmmaker, and director of WikiLeaks, who was living in London at the time.
Now deceased. I'm sure that was some sort of natural death.
I have seen and read the emails between Seth Rich and WikiLeaks, the investigator told Fox News, confirming that McFadden connection. He said the emails are in possession of the FBI, while the stalled case is in the hands of the Washington Police Department. The Fox News report claimed that someone at the DNC was preventing the case from moving forward. Also, the report noted that 2 men were found on cameras shooting Rich. 2 assailants caught on a grainy videotape from a camera posted outside the grocery mart shot Rich twice in his back, but did not take his wallet, cell phone, keys, watch, or necklace worth about $2,000. Police should consider all angles, Wheeler said, especially in light of Assange's statements to a Dutch television reporter who asked about Seth Rich. Remember, he said, I'm suggesting, Assange told the Dutch reporter, that our sources take risks and they become concerned to see things occurring like that. Rich then reportedly called his father and his girlfriend before being shot a block from his home. Rich died a few hours later, but was reported conscious on the way to the hospital. The police reportedly refused to provide any information he may have provided on the way to the hospital.
So, are you going to talk about the U.S. Extradition request that's been made for Julian Assange? Because that's kind of big news. I don't know if you want to wait for that on Sunday, but while you're talking about it.
Yeah.
So, the United States has asked to have Julian Assange extradited to be brought here for testimony. Actually,
yeah.
They want him to give testimony. I find it fascinating. If I was Julian Assange, honestly, and I'm not him, but I feel like if I was, I would say, let's just get it over with. Let's do this thing. I'm about to die anyway. They're going to kill me in prison. Let's move forward. I don't want to sit here and rot in Belmarsh. Or wherever he is. Wherever he is with the Tommy
Right.
boys.
I have some videos for you. Black Lives Matter mobs have gone nowhere. Actually, they have gone somewhere. They've gone into the suburbs. A Black Lives Matter mob held a rally in a gentrified neighborhood, reportedly in Seattle, on Wednesday, where they demanded white people leave their homes and give their homes to black people. The Gateway pundits, Black Lives Matter mob demands white people move out.
This video was taken down off of Marquez, actually.
Do you know that you are living in a historically black neighborhood right now? Do you know that? Do you know that before your white ass came here, this was all black people? Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know people like you came in here and basically bought all the land from the black people for less than what it was worth, kicked them out so you could live here? Do you know that? Yeah. Do you know that? Yeah. Because if you don't, now you fucking do. Now do something about it. Yeah. Open your wallet.
We're gonna have to make our show rated R. Sorry, guys. We covered.
I feel like I don't have a chance. Okay,
you don't.
Every time you see a Black Lives Matter video, there will be the F-bomb. That is their language.
It is. Yes.
I don't have a bleeper.
Historically black neighborhood. You live in a gentrified neighborhood. Yeah.
I just wish I would think ahead of time to tell people that that's probably coming.
Every time I play a Black Lives Matter video, you can say it right before every single one.
I never think about it.
Now we will.
Because you're part of that gentrification, that racist gentrification. How do you plan to fix it? Because you are living on black people land right now.
Black people land.
I mean native land, but black people live here too.
I mean native land, but black people live here too.
As a gentrifier, because you are part of that problem. How do you plan to fix it? Nothing. Just don't call nothing.
How do you plan to fix it?
If your name's Tucker or Doug, whichever one it is, give us your house, give black people back their homes.
Give us your house.
Comfortable as fuck, and then they don't gentrify this neighborhood.
We want to live comfortably. They're just jealous. It's just jealousy. It's really
sad. I mean, okay. But can I just say, like, out of all the places that I anticipated something like this happening, like, raise your hand if you ever think about Washington State.
No, I don't.
You
really
don't.
Think about it.
No one thinks about Seattle. Honestly.
And I'm just telling you, you really want land, like Kanye West said. He moved out. He got like thousands of acres in Wyoming. He's trying to teach black people, you don't want the city. You don't want a house in the city. You want land with grass and trees. Get your kids out of the city, whatever race or creed you are.
Right.
Get your kids near some trees. Let them sit and play in the grass. Let them play with bugs and slugs and let them see the stars at night. You don't want to be in the city anyway. Speaking of the city, Chicago weekend update. 400 officers sent to downtown area. It was called the Magnificent Mile, where they arrested 100 people for looting, disorderly conduct, and battery against police. Gunfire exchange and police shooting earlier in the day of a 20-year-old male suspect who actually shot at police first as he fled may have been the spark. Now, again, going back to the Obama phones and social media. Everybody, the police shot at a black dude. Let's go get some stuff.
Looters converged on Chicago's downtown on Sunday night after police and a suspect exchanged gunfire on the city's south side. Here, an Audi that's presumed to be stolen smashes out the window of a store in the Gold Coast area. Chicago's mayor said the looting undermines public safety and breeds a sense of insecurity among residents. She says it wasn't just large chain stores. Small businesses and restaurants were also targeted.
That's a mannequin, not a person.
There is no justification for criminal behavior ever.
Really? Because your tune's kind of
crowds are
changing
seen
now that
breaking
your
into a
city's
Tesla
falling
store where
apart.
kids' cars were reportedly stolen. The looters reportedly broke into a PNC bank and also stole from Sally Beauty Supply and high-end stores like Louis Vuitton.
Sally.
Over 400 officers were dispatched downtown after discovering social media posts encouraging looting in the area. Tactical police with riot gear held their position in an intersection. The police report caravans transported looters downtown after posts on social media encouraged.
The police report caravans transported looters downtown. You guys, this is all set up, honey child. It's all set up.
Looting. The police arrested over 100 individuals for looting, disorderly conduct, and battery against police. The police superintendent describes this as an act of violence against police officers and the city.
This was not an organized protest. Rather, this was an incident of pure criminality.
Earlier on Sunday in Chicago's Inglewood neighborhood, police shot a 20-year-old male suspect who first shot at police as he fled. The superintendent said social media accounts spread misinformation that the suspect was a 15-year-old boy in order to fuel the looting.
Social media accounts spread that he was a 15-year-old boy and police had just shot at him and killed him in order to get people to loot. Now,
this goes hand in hand with Millie's
documentary.
They do this on purpose. Guys, so when Alex Jones talks about these false flags, okay, and Millie says this exact in her documentary, what he's describing is not events that don't happen, okay? They are events that are plannable, that these people sitting at their computers at the NSA
or taken advantage
or these brokers
okay? So they didn't know that this was going to happen.
Right.
What they did was they jumped on it. Okay, this is what we're going to do. So it was planned.
Send out the disinformation because we now know what. All right, this is how I'm going to describe it. What she says is we go in and we learn what their trigger points are. We find out what their trigger points are so that we can utilize them so that when something happens, boom, we trigger. So was George Floyd thing a plan? I know some of our conspiracy theorists want to say it never happened or they sent in these agents or whatever. It was probably just something that literally happened in the course of everyday stuff.
But what was planned was the reaction afterwards.
Exactly. They're like, all right, we already have the trigger points. We know what to do here. We know what to do here. We know what to do here. We know how to get this mob started because we've spent years studying
and planning
for just the right time to pull the trigger moments.
Right.
That is what
Officials
these
cut off
are.
access to the downtown area by raising bridges over the Chicago River. The bridges have since been lowered and transit service restored.
Craziness.
Exactly.
Craziness.
412 says Glenn Beck talking about the Ukraine. Glenn Beck did an amazing expose on Ukraine, but there is another side to it.
So John MacArthur was going against the 100. I think it was like 100-person limit. I think in Florida. I'm not sure, but
he's
it was
a pastor.
More than that, as a pastor of a Baptist church in Florida. He's a big name guy, and so I wanted to play his intro for you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to welcome you to the Grace Community Church Peaceful Protest.
That was just awesome. I could watch that.
What the powers that be have decided as far as what is essential.
Yeah, nobody's wearing masks there.
Peaceful protests are essential. Religious worship is non-essential.
Yeah.
What John MacArthur is saying, actually, we are essential.
Exactly.
And it was described the other day, somebody, at the end of an Allie Beth Stuckey, it was the show she did with Jeff Durbin, the second one. At the end of that, she has this guy on, and I listened to it, and he was talking about holding church services in the midst of against these orders and what a church should do, because a lot of churches believe we should, obey and bow down to authority and this, that, and the other. And he said, listen, it's not like if there was a tsunami coming, we would be holding services. What we're saying is, when you compare, because if a tsunami was coming, you're not going to peacefully protest, you're not going to the grocery store, you're not doing all of these other things, okay? But if you can do all of these other things, then going to church can be included in those, all right? So I thought that was the best way to word. Now, we here at Resistance Chicks see an even larger picture of an actual conspiracy that's happening in the midst of all these shutdowns and lockdowns. But if you want to take that to the side, if we're just talking about something and a virus is dangerous and this, that, and the other, that was an excellent explanation.
In Seattle, they tried to get the same thing.
So you just did a commercial break with John MacArthur.
I did.
Okay, now we're back to the riots. Great Boss says, Michelle, don't forget BLM are trained organizers and Marxists.
Yeah. Here's another video of a looter uses a vehicle to break into a business in Chicago.
Whoa.
Here's the Audi trying to get in. This is a full video.
Right, they can hear it without being loud.
Okay.
Edward Wallace points out casinos are essential.
Yeah, I noticed that. Who uses an Audi to try to get any, man? Crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay, after weeks of riots in Seattle, even liberals want law and order. The radical left is creating new Trump voters. Check out what residents had to say.
Exclusively vote Republican. Family, we're former Democrats. My mom's from California. They're all California Democrats. And now we all pretty much exclusively vote Republican or Libertarian.
Have these riots made you want to support President Trump even more?
Absolutely.
Katie Davis Court out here in Seattle, Washington. I want to know what the citizens of Seattle think of all of these riots and if they are persuading them to vote for President Trump or Joe Biden. Let's find out. Have these riots pushed you more in support of President Trump?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially the way the Democrats are leaning and saying this is all peaceful and they're not condoning any violence. They're allowing small businesses to get broken into. They're allowing people to get hurt, even killed. You know what I mean? That's just ridiculous.
Come November, who are you guys voting for?
Trump. No question.
This will be my first time voting. I'm so excited.
Prior to these riots, I would consider myself somewhat in the middle, and now definitely Donald Trump has my vote.
I am highly saddened by the protests. I do not feel that they are justified in what they're doing.
I just want everyone to know that these aren't peaceful protests, these are riots, and I do want Donald Trump to come in and restore law and order. That's all I gotta say.
No, if they don't do the job, I'll do the job.
I lived on Capitol Hill. I walk out. I got jumped 3 times. 3 times. Once because of this.
Wow.
I have a USMC tattoo on my back. They don't support veterans, and 2, they don't support cops.
It's absolutely disgusting, horrible. It's an anarchic mess. It's communism personified. I mean, you have a bunch of Marxists down there trying to destroy what made this nation great. They're trying to annihilate the very idea of America.
Now, media continues to say that these protests are peaceful. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, since media are controlled by just a few folks and they spit out the same talking points, I'm not surprised, but I am all for First Amendment protected protests, but the First Amendment does not protect things that are not peaceful.
Peaceful protesting? That's not what it is.
Can't really peacefully throw Molotovs at people.
You can't really peacefully throw a Molotov.
It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. It's anarchy. And we have a lot of actual communists, I mean, hammer and sickle communists who live here in this region, and anarchists, and they are working together to destroy our cities.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And these people here, these cops that have been protecting us our whole life, how do people actually think they sleep at night? It's because of the cops. Because we have CLPD. I've never owned a gun until just now. You want to see something? No. I just got my gun and a concealed weapons permit. I'm 40 years old. I've never owned a gun in my life. I thought I would have to until now. Until people start talking about it.
Some are. There are some peaceful people there. Some of them are peaceful protesters, but a lot of them are not. So by saying that it's I've heard Nadler say it's a myth that, there's protests going on in Portland that are violent, and it's a myth of what's happening in Shop.
That's a myth that's being spread only in Washington, D.C.
It's not. There's a lot of violence. We've had reports of people who've been killed. They don't get a lot of attention locally because that wouldn't look good for certain people running for re-election here in the state. But it's out of control, and we need law and order back.
Wow.
So there you have it, folks.
Well done on that girl, that reporter. I've never seen her before.
No, I have not either, actually. I wanted to just bring a couple updates from Dr. Simone Gold this week. Some of the things she's tweeted out. She's the hydroxychloroquine doctor. Mm-hmm. She's back on Twitter. So,
really?
Yeah, she's back.
Excellent
tweeting.
News.
Massive international study shows countries that implemented early outpatient treatment with hydroxychloroquine had pretty much an 80% lower mortality rate. Like,
I know what you're about to say. We're done. That's what you wanted to say. We're done.
You want proof, and it's kind of like, okay, like they had a 10% difference, maybe 15% difference.
Right,
Even
right.
at that, at a 10% difference, if 10% more people lived, you're like, do it.
Okay, but your likelihood of your mask protecting someone else is probably about less than that.
Yeah. Oh my God!
But everybody's wearing them because they literally think to themselves, "No, it does make sense that the mask might block my droplets as all of my." Do you realize that as a person you emit like moisture? Your mouth, how much more? Okay, you've got moisture that is literally pouring out of the sides of these masks going into the atmosphere. But you're thinking because of your spadiddle droplets are staying within your mask that's going to save somebody's life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you're looking at Mexico having it looks like, let me see, the highest death per million with the UK and the US like neck and neck. Sweden did not implement it early on. Neither did Ireland or France, the Netherlands or Canada. But the Eastern countries kind of did versus like the West. So you have Algeria, Morocco, Indonesia, Ukraine, Greece, Cuba, and I know India. So it's pretty sad. 68 studies.
No, this is excellent news. Honestly, that she's been given her Twitter account back, and B, these studies are actually happening.
So over here,
so it is going to eventually reach the public. Mm-hmm. They're probably trying to keep a lid on it now until after November. Before it was about remdesivir and the vaccine. I think that's still that's part of it, but I think at this point it's just purely about the election.
Right. So she tweeted out today. This tweet, she retweeted a tweet from August 5th, and today's tweet said, despite proving that HCQ cut patient death rates in half, the FDA still denied a Henry Ford Health request for emergency use authorization for outpatient use for HCQ with COVID-19. What is going on here? She says the Henry Ford system shows treatment with HCQ cut death rates in half in the sickest patients and works even better taken early. Why is the prejudice against it?
And it's not just that the media is against it. Why is the FDA against it? Why is the FDA against such a safe drug?
I follow a doctor. I think he was one of the doctors. Dr. Brian C. Porter said, we crossed 350 symptomatic patients today. Treating today. My job is first do no harm, save lives, and alleviate suffering. While there is no cure for COVID-19, there is a plethora of studies and data, including mine, that show early HCQ plus azithromycin and zinc is very effective. So he's treated all of his patients, and they're doing really good. Somebody sent me a video of a guy who had symptoms. He couldn't get it from his doctor. He couldn't get anywhere in doctor in his state, I believe. He had to go to another state, and he finally got it. Oh, look, Millie, we've finally trending.
Oh, fantastic. In the United States.
Finally.
Good. You know, when it comes to HCQ, I tell you guys on the show, and I tell everyone else, when the president does something that I am not happy with, or he doesn't do something that I feel like he should do, I will call it out on our show, even though we support the president. And that has to do with HCQ. I feel like he should come out harder in favor of it. And maybe even if he didn't do it publicly, and maybe he is, he needs to be doing something behind the scenes to get this done.
Yeah.
To make it a usable medicine.
And then we have these crazy mask mandates. So we have a video here of a family who was removed from a flight when their autistic 3-year-old would not wear a mask.
A Houston mother says they were kicked off a Southwest Airlines flight because her 3-year-old autistic son was afraid to wear a mask. Southwest Airlines got Alyssa Sadler and her 2 children across the state to Midland last week, but now she has to find a different way home.
It was just not a good morning.
Alyssa says her flight to Houston left the gate on Monday morning only to quickly return when her 3-year-old son, who has autism, wouldn't wear a mask.
He was screaming, he was throwing a fit, he was screaming, no, no, no.
She says her son has sensory processing disorder and doesn't like his face touched. Alyssa even had a note about his condition from his doctor, but that didn't make a difference.
The mask is not going to work. Like he's not going to wear the mask.
Southwest Airlines says all customers over age 2 have to cover their faces while traveling, something that's pointed out during the booking and online check-in process. The airline said in a statement, if a customer is unable to wear a face covering for any reason, Southwest regrets that we are unable to transport the individual.
I think there needs to be something in place for, children or even adults with disabilities.
You could take horses on airplanes.
Who can't wear a mask. They should have some kind of exemption.
Alyssa says her son didn't wear a mask while boarding or even on the flight to Midland. Alyssa says a family member is going to drive them back from Midland tomorrow.
Wow. Insane. It's insane. It's insane, guys. People are just insane. Here's a little bit of good news. California ban on high capacity ammunition, I'd say anything over, it's everything over 10. I don't think it's high capacity, is overturned by a federal appeals court. So the California's Attorney General did not immediately say if he would ask the full appellate court to reconsider the ruling. So a 3-judge panel of the 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Friday threw out California's ban on high-capacity ammunition magazines, saying the law violates the U.S. Constitution protection for the right to bear firearms. Even well-intentioned laws must pass constitutional muster, said appellate judge Kenneth Lee, wrote for the panel's majority. California's ban on magazines holding more than 10 bullets strikes at the core of the Second Amendment and the right to be armed self-defense. He noted that California passed the law in the wake of heart-wrenching and highly publicized mass shootings. But said that isn't enough to justify a ban whose scope is so sweeping that half of all magazines in America would now be unlawful to own in California. California Attorney General Xavier Barcura did not immediately say whether he would ask the full judge panel to look at this. The California Rifle and Pistol Association attorney Chuck Michael called it a huge victory for gun owners and the right to choose to own a firearm to defend your family. And the ruling actually has some national implications because other states have similar restrictions. Though it immediately applies only to Western states under the appellate's court jurisdiction, it was a fractured decision. 2 of 3 judges voted to toss out the state's ban while the 3rd judge dissented. Of course, it's going to be U.S. District Court Judge Barbara Lynn of Texas, who had been named 3rd judge of the appellate panel, said the majority's ruling conflicts with decisions of Chick. They don't really like Chick anythings. They're just really always leftist. I'm just going to tell you. Usually are.
When it comes to the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms, the most touted argument is self-defense. And frankly, that's not really the main reason for the Second Amendment. Okay, the Second Amendment is made so that should our government become dictators and try to lock us in our houses and make us cover our faces so that we can't breathe, we can rise up and throw off such government. That is why they want to disarm Americans. And that is why it will never happen.
So if you have to wear a mask, there might be a few that might, might be worth it. Yeah. In Turkey, they actually have found a way to address the ugly issue. Turkish brides are donning gold masks.
Whoa!
Turkish, I don't mean gold-colored masks. That would be ugly. I'm talking about 22 karat and 14 karat gold masks. Of course, like most things made of gold, a gold wedding mask will set you back more than a few bucks. Prices range from $1,500 to over $10,000. Gold was already an important part of Turkish wedding traditions. Family members and guests typically gift the bride with a set of gold jewelry and other pieces of gold on her wedding day. Now, will a gold mask protect you from Rona? Let's see. They've got, I think it says it's got N95 masks in there or something.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I'm going to try to see where I'm at. You've got, but in case that's not enough for you, the AP reports that an Israeli jewelry company is working on one it says will be it will be the world's most expensive coronavirus mask. This is it. A gold diamond-encrusted face covering with a price tag of $1.5 million. The 10-karat white gold mask will be decorated with 3,600 white and black diamonds and fitted with top-rated N99 filters at the request of the buyer. Money maybe doesn't buy everything, but it can buy a very expensive COVID-19 mask, and the guy wants to wear it and walk around and get attention, and he should be happy with that. So you can have a gold
What does this guy do for a living?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my goodness. That's
all right. Trump wants to send out $3,400 to families of 4. Democrats are supposedly holding it up.
Okay, pause right there. So when it comes to the election that's happening, what Trump did with the Abraham Accord, that was probably for, I believe, election purposes. All right, and the timing there is impeccable. When Trump did the payroll tax cut waiver, which we didn't talk about on our show, but he's cutting payroll taxes. Now, as far as it being like a grant that you don't have to pay back yet, I'm not really sure.
I don't know.
It may come later that you just have to pay it.
Yeah,
So
if he says if he's elected,
and it seems like a bribe. It seems like a bribe. All right. So when it comes to this next thing that you're going to talk about,
I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't
feel that it's a good thing.
I feel like
you don't want any money from the government, guys. It might
just be a an election ploy. But
no, I think it's definitely just to spur on the economy.
Okay, let's put it this way: it doesn't hurt his election because even his voter base is not going to not vote for him because of this. He's not going to lose a voter. He can only gain voters by doing that.
And one more thing on the HCQ. The Yale professor says the HCQ haters spewing misleading and toxic disinformation. The etymology professor Harvey Reich has hit back against critics who say he's been the subject of personal attacks over his insistence that HCQ is highly effective at treating COVID-19 if administered early in the disease's progression. In a Washington Examiner op-ed, he writes that the pushback against his advocacy for the drug has been furious. Dr. Anthony Fauci has implied that I am incompetent, notwithstanding my hundreds of highly regarded, methodically relevant publications in peer-reviewed scientific literature. A group of my Yale colleagues have publicly imitated that I am a zealot who is perpetuating a dangerous hoax and conspiracy theory. I have been attacked in news articles by journalists who, ignorant of the full picture, have spun hit pieces from cherry-picked sources. Reich says that the personal attacks are a dangerous distraction from the real issue of HCQ's effectiveness, which is solidly grounded in both substantial evidence and appropriate medical decision-making logic. He adds that there are no studies published or in preprint which disprove his theory that HCQ should be used on high-risk outpatients, and that the assertion to the contrary, whether by Fauci or the FDA or anybody else, is without foundation. They constitute misleading and toxic information. COVID-19 has 2 stages, and HCQ works for the first but not for the second, latter stage of the disease. At the first stage, it is a flu-like illness. The illness will not kill you. If you are a high-risk patient and begin treatment immediately, you will almost certainly be done with it in a few days. If you are a high-risk patient, anybody, and you begin this treatment early, you will most certainly be over it in just a few days. When not treated, high-risk patients may progress, and the virus then causes severe pneumonia and attacks many organs, including the heart. In this second stage, HCQ is not effective. So as Reich points out, it's important to distinguish between what works. He also notes that most low-risk patients, those below 60 with no underlying comorbidities, typically survive without any treatment. High-risk patients need immediate treatment when they show those first symptoms. One should not wait for the COVID-19 test results.
And one should be able to take it prophylactically if they are afraid.
Yeah. So I feel like...
And especially those that are at a greater risk should be able to take it prophylactically.
Yeah.
Because there are people that are able to take it prophylactically, and you know who they are? People that have money and know people. The politicians that tell you that you have to wear masks and stay in your basement and we're going to lock down forever, they're taking it. The doctors that won't give it to you are taking it themselves.
So, this is an update, and it's kind of a sad update, and I hate to bring sad updates, but we covered this man and his son who didn't actually really want to be a girl, but the mom really wants him to be a girl. And the judge is one of those social justice people. So the judge has ordered this Texas father to pay $5,000 a month so his ex-wife can transition son James into a girl named Luna.
No, they can't force the dad to pay.
The Dallas judge this week issued an order allowing Ann Gorgulis power over her 8-year-old son James' medical decisions. As previously reported, the mother of 8-year-old James wanted to start the boy on puberty blockers and even eventually cross-sex hormones. The boy's father, Jeffrey Younger, vowed to keep fighting to protect his son after a jury. Remember we played some snippets from, we read them. His neighbors, when James plays at his house with his friends, he's just one of the boys.
Right.
He takes his shirt off, he runs around. I'm a boy, he would say. But at his mom's house, his mom makes him wear his dresses. His mom is abusing him, and I feel like it's important to be on the record saying, I'm praying for you, and young man, God is going to set you free. The boy's father, Jeffrey Younger, vowed to keep fighting to protect his son after a jury last year ruled against him in his court case to save his son James from gender transition. The crazed mother, Dr. Ann Gorgulis, was to continue the chemical castration of their son to transition James Younger into Luna. Dr. Gorgulis actually admitted in the court that she is not the biological mother of James and his twin brother Jude. She used in vitro fertilization with a donor egg. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced last fall that the Texas Attorney General's office and the Texas Department of Family and Protection Services were looking into the horrific case. A video of James Younger when he was only 3 years old surfaced revealing that his mother put dresses on him and painted his fingernails when the child was just an infant. The abuse from the mother all started because James liked a toy from the movie Frozen meant for little girls. It is totally normal for little boys to play with little girls' toys. It does not mean they want to be castrated and transition into a girl. When asked if he was a boy or a girl, James, then only 3 years old, answered, "Girl." He said his mom told him he's a girl. Now Jeffrey Younger is being forced to pay his wife $5,000 a month to pay for his son's transition and counseling, in addition to $10,000 retainer by the counselor. So LifeSite News says yesterday a Dallas judge took away Jeffrey Younger's say in his son's medical, psychological, and psychiatric care, giving power to James's mother, who wants to transition him to a girl.
I don't see how you can make the father pay for that, though.
I don't know.
So keep praying. I mean, we serve a very mighty, mighty God, and the more attention this gets, the more pressure we can put. And it's not, here's the deal. Unfortunately, it has to be James' case that's coming to the surface, but it shouldn't be legal for any child to transition, and that's the battle we need to fight.
So last story of the evening here, and I felt again, she is retiring.
Oh dear, I don't blame her. I don't blame her.
Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best, who tried to take back her precinct from CHOP.
Yep.
She's done. She's retiring amid discord with the
might
council.
walk away. I might walk away for sure.
Breaking now at 11, Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best announcing her retirement in an email to the entire Seattle Police Department tonight.
It comes just hours after the City Council voted to slash SPD's budget, a move the chief has fiercely opposed, saying she was not invited to the table to discuss efforts to change policing in Seattle.
She is a black woman. You literally have a black woman in charge of your police department, and you cut her budget.
A police department who works closely with Chief Best tells me tonight this was a bombshell.
Tonight, the council voted 7-1 to cut SPD's budget by 14% for the rest of 2020. It is not the 50% cut some activists were demanding and some council members initially supported. Councilmember Kashama Sawant was the lone no vote. Councilmember Deborah Juarez was absent.
We have team coverage on the phone.
So Kashama Sawant, she's either Muslim or Indian, and she's the only smart one on this board.
You know what's the problem with this board? All these women on it. We got 3 dudes. We got 6 women. Women are stupid in a lot of cases.
The message the chief sent to her entire department tonight. Tammy?
Preston, you know, this is a very shocking and disheartening announcement.
Easily
for
swayed
the law
by
enforcement
emotion they
community
are. They're
and the black community. Chief Best,
except for this police chief,
was the first black woman police chief in this entire department, and we expect to hear from her tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. at a press conference with the mayor. Now let's take a look at this email that Como News obtained. Now this was sent out by Chief Best to the police department saying she is retiring on September 2nd, not resigning like some media outlets reported. In the email, Chief Best says, quote, "This was a difficult decision for me, but when it's time, it's time," adding, "I am confident the department will make it through these difficult times."
No, they won't.
Chief Best's decision to retire comes just hours after the Seattle City Council voted for cuts to the department. The suggested cuts include up to 100 officers.
I didn't see a black person on there.
Which, that's true too.
I saw some
a bunch of white people.
White person, Hispanic, maybe white person. The only Indian, looks like an Indian person. She's the only one able to know. White guy, Hispanic.
No, definitely white.
Well,
woman.
she's Juarez.
Okay,
So,
yeah, I guess you're right. Hispanic descent.
I think she is Hispanic.
Your head's covering it up.
So I'm pretty sure there's no black
to
people.
100 officers, including 32 patrol officers, 38 officers in specialized units like SWAT, Harbor Patrol, and mounted officers, 30 through attrition or retirement. And in a reversal, the council had voted not to cut the chief's salary by 40%, but instead by 6%. Now tonight, we talked to Jim Fuda from Crime Stoppers about the chief's stunning announcement.
It's ludicrous. It makes me sad. Carmen went through the federal consent decree. She brought the agency up to the federal standards. We are a progressive agency here, and the fact that this council would negate all that she's done and try to do more cuts instead of be concerned about the public safety and pander to a very small percentage of our population here in this city, it's not right.
Chief Best says in the email, Deputy Chief Adrian Diaz will serve as the interim police chief. And the chief ends that email by saying, after 28 years in the department, she is thankful to be with SPD and that she considers them family. Now tonight, I also got a text from black community leaders who fought for Chief Best, telling me that they'll be at that press conference tomorrow, rallying behind her. Back to you.
Tammy, thank you. In the last hour, Como News obtained this statement from Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkin's office sent to members of SPD. She says, "While I understand the chief's reasons, I accepted her decision with a very heavy heart." She goes on to say, "Carmen Best is still devoted to this department and our city. I regret deeply that she concluded that the best way to serve the city and help the department."
No. That's not why she's stepping down, because she thinks the best way is for her to step down. No. What happened is she looked at that council and she said all but one person on that council has said they don't care about me, they don't care about this city, they don't care about this department, they are not going to back and support us. They may throw me under the bus. If something happens, the buck might stop with me and I might get arrested, or one of my men or women might get arrested. Okay, if you're not going to give me the support that my department needs, I can't be a part of this anymore.
This mayor let this go on. This mayor let CHOP be built.
No, the mayor is completely culpable. This is insanity at the highest level. If I was Carmen Best, I would be stepping down.
I remember watching her press conferences. She was not happy with CHOP.
She wanted to get back in there. She was like, we want to get back in there. We want to take our police department back.
Right.
And her hands were tied.
Right.
So yes, Eric was laughing that what I said about women. Listen, do you see all 6 of those women on there? If just 2 of them were having a bad PMS day, you don't know what's going to influence their vote. Okay? And every married man in this room knows exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? You don't mess with a woman. She will say or do anything irrational. Just because you didn't bring ice cream home when you said you would, she is voting no. That's it.
Although it kind of throws Chief Best under the bus. I'm sure she was really good.
I'm sure she was great. I'm just saying.
There's an exception to every rule.
There's the exception that proves the rule.
Yeah. There's an exception that proves the rule, right?
There are Deborahs that rise up. But then there's a whole bunch of other scriptures in the Bible that talk about silly women and them being led astray. All right? There's the Deborahs, and then there's the silly women. I like to think that I'm a Deborah. I like to think that Carmen Best is a Deborah. And I absolutely know that 5 out of 6 of those women on that council are one of the silly women. Silly women.
Did you want to sing your song?
If you're not a Christian,
you play this song.
You don't even know what I'm talking about here. I'm telling you what. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was singing that with my headphones on.
When you played your guitar.
What song?
Will you sing Your Love? Is that what you're singing? I don't know. You were singing a good song.
I wasn't singing anything on my guitar.
You played the guitar. Yeah.
2
nights ago. It was really good.
I was playing. No, because I took my guitar. I have to have that guitar tuned to the key of B, and I took it out of that tuning. I can't play it without that. And besides, I'm still not that good at it. All right, so we're gonna sign off here. Thank you for being here. Pray for Millie. Please go to her GoFundMe. I have that in the description of our video. Please go to her GoFundMe and donate. That's my personal request. She's a personal friend of ours. I am asking you. I'm going to refresh the page and see if it's gone up from 2,714. Yes, it has. It's doubled. So keep donating. There's only been 142 donors. That's a lot of money for 142 donors. So please continue to donate so that we can help her out. This is an atrocity. She's going to need all the support. Share the video, what they don't want you to see, anywhere that you can, and get people to watch it. I did not play that on the guitar.
You didn't?
Nope.
What were you playing?
It was one of those like Bethel House music, Holy Water. That's what it was, I think. No, not Holy Water. Ain't No Grave. Something like that. It was one of those. I can't remember what it was. So anyway, did you guys tune in for our show?
Oh, yeah.
Groundbreaking show that you will not want to miss. This new series we're doing every Wednesday, time unknown, called Revelation Red Pill Academy. You will want to attend this academy. You are not going to want to miss out on
the time of the show is unknown, but I can tell you a time of a coming of Jesus was known.
Guys, it was such a phenomenal show. That's the direction that I want to take you. All right, here's the deal. You know how when you the Crowder mug thing. What do you need?
Tuner.
The mug club.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's behind the scenes sneak stuff, right? If it weren't for the fact that I want to get this stuff out here, I might qualify this as such, okay? Because you really need to be on the inner sanctum of Resistance Chicks family to get this. I want this to be an intimate setting, okay? This class, this academy, a family-like thing where, like I said at the end of the show, what are Leah and I talking about all day long? Every once in a while, a news thing will pop up and say, hey, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this? What we're going to bring to you is something that has been a long time in the making. It's going to show you who we are as people. You know, where our heart really lies. Is it in exposing the globalists? Is it in, bringing the top news to you guys? That's a little bit of it. But if you really want to get to know Leah and Michelle, you're not going to want to miss the Wednesday shows, because that's how you're really going to get to know us. Who are we when you're not watching? This Wednesday night show is going to bring that to you. So, if you have ever grappled with what seems like inconsistencies in scripture and then what you're being taught in church when it comes to the end times, Jesus' kingdom, who we are we kings and priests, are we reigning, all of that stuff, we're going to clear it all up for you on Wednesdays. Please, please, please go and watch our show that we did this past Wednesday. Share it with as many people as you can. Download the podcast. You can get it at resistancechicks.com, and share it with everyone that you can. Kelly says, try not to do it at 8 p.m. because they want to be at your show. Kelly, I know that you guys go live on Saturdays and Sundays, and every once in a while we've done a show that conflicted, and we don't do it on purpose. I assure you, we only can stream when time allows us. We would like to do the Wednesday show around 4-ish. That's the goal. That's a little deep. If you guys aren't familiar, no, it's fine. We'll do it. We can sing it that way. We can sing it that way. If you're not familiar with Third Day, their singer that was for my whole life has the most deep, throaty, recognizable voices, and it's difficult as females to sing those songs. I'm gonna move my chair over here. Your righteousness stretches to the sky, and your righteousness is like a mighty mountains. Your justice flows like the ocean's tides. And I will lift my voice to worship you, my King. I will find my strength in the shadow of your wings. Your love alone reaches to the heavens. Your faithfulness stretches to the skies, and your righteousness is like a mighty mountain. Your justice flows like the ocean's tide. And I will lift my voice to worship you, my King. I will find my strength in the shadow of your wings. Your love alone reaches to the heavens. Your faithfulness stretches to the sky, and your righteousness is like a mighty mountain. Your justice flows like the ocean's tide. And I will lift my voice to worship you, my King. I will find my strength in the shadow of your wings. Your love alone reaches to the heavens. Your faithfulness stretches to the sky, and your righteousness is like a mighty mountain. Your justice flows like the ocean's tide. So I will lift my
I will find my strength in the shadow of your wings. Oh, your love, oh Lord, reaches to the heaven. Oh, your love, oh Lord, stretches to the sky. Your righteousness is like the mighty mountains, and your justice flows like the ocean. Let it flow, let it flow, let it flow. I will lift my voice. I'm gonna worship you, my King. I'll find my strength. Oh, let us hide ourselves in your wings, God, right now. Let us find ourselves in you. Let us find ourselves in you. Let us find ourselves in you. Let your justice flow. Let your justice flow. And open our eyes to help us see everyone being hurt around me. Help us to stand up for the broken. Help us to be a voice for the weak. Oh, Father, rain your justice down. We know your kingdom has come. We call on your power to move. We call on your power. We call on your power to continue to expose the darkness. And we pray your light shines in the darkness. Oh, the wicked, they have had their day. Now it's time for the people of God to rise. So open our eyes so we can see the heavenly host surrounding me. And open our ears so we can hear your voice. We want to hear your voice. Show us so what to pray so we can bring justice to the day. Show us what to do so we can help the innocent to undo this tangled mess, this swamp and zoo that we're living in right now.
Guys, this is what our Wednesday show is meant to bring. We want to empower you. We want to empower the body of Christ. We can be walking in power that shuts the mouths of lions every single time. We are seeing a church rise up like never before. The reason why everything is as crazy as it seems right now is because the devil is losing ground every single day. And if people like Millie, if people like Julian Assange, if people like Roger Stone end up on the front lines, I want to tell you what that does for the rest of us. It empowers us. It makes us want to fight. It makes us want to stop the evil one. It's not enough anymore just to sit back and watch everyone else and watch the lives fall apart. How do we fight? The Bible says that our prayer and our praise reaches heaven like smoke, like an aroma to God. And it is that smoke and that aroma that harkens back to the incense in the Old Testament that causes God to move and causes him to act. So we speak out, we walk in the power of the Holy Spirit, we enter his gates with thanksgiving, we enter his courts with praise, and we take down the devil every single day. So the more you see the devil going crazy, the more you see the chaos, know that on the other side of that, the other side of that spiritual fight,
see yourself now at the right hand of God.
Are Christians, are heavenly hosts, gaining ground every single day. Millie's documentary is a gaining of ground, and they didn't stop it. They can't stop it. It's unstoppable. We are literally unstoppable. I want you guys to be excited about what God's doing. I want you to be excited about the move of the Holy Spirit.
Let the prisoners free.
All power and authority was given to Jesus. And he gives that to you, to us. We are moving mountains.
My Jesus is coming.
I feel so privileged to be living during this time. To be counted amongst those worthy enough to be able to be fighting on God's team for the biggest shift that's been seen in society for at least 100 years. We're going to see this ship turn around. Things are changing. Be excited.
Oh, may our prayers rise up to heaven like a sweet aroma. If we pray according to your will, we know you hear our prayer. If we pray according to your will, we know we have those things that what we would ask of you. So I ask you to set the captives free. You know who I'm talking about Millie. Father God, I ask you to bring her home to her family now. I don't know what else to do, but I can go before the throne and make things happen. I don't know what else to do, but I can go before the throne and I can make things happen. Because you care. Guys, it's really important. I mean, I've been trying to hold back tears the entire show because I put myself into her shoes. This is what they're doing to people. They took her from her kids. They said, Daddy, get your BB gun. Daddy, protect Mommy. Don't let him take my mom from me. All she was doing was exposing this darkness, and they came at her. And so I'm telling you, we can't sit idly by. We can't say, this is why I do on the Red Pill Revelation show, because we can't be the namby-pamby Christians who are like, you know what? They just allow that abortion. It's just going to happen. In those public schools, it's just going to happen. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm telling you, this mindset, it came from the devil. I can pinpoint exactly where this mindset came from. The rapture is not going to happen. There's no great tribulation. It's not in the Bible. The 7-year tribulation and the rapture, that is not in the Bible. It's not in the Bible. The Great Tribulation, it happened in AD 70. So get your feet off of the couch, get your booty off the couch, and join the army, because the army is advancing and we need people to fight so that people like Millie Weaver don't go to jail. She should not be in jail. There's no reason for her to be in jail. The only reason Christians get persecuted in America is because good people don't do anything. They believe that bad things are just going to keep happening so that Jesus can come back. But I'm telling you, that's not what was happening. Jesus said in Matthew 24 and Luke 21 and Mark 13, do you understand that he was talking through a very specific group of people, and things were going to get bad in Jerusalem for the Jews because Jesus came to bring salvation and judgment, and his judgment came in the Jewish wars of AD 67 and AD 70. And in the late 1800s, some girl over in the UK said there's going to be a rapture. First time that word was ever used. And
she was in a trance.
And then this guy named Jonathan Darby put together his own Bible. And he got together. He came over here. He met with Dwight L. Moody. Heard of him? And he met with this guy named Schofield. You know what Schofield wrote? The Schofield Reference Bible. Get your hands on one and burn it. There are factual errors in there. That man was a heretic. And you know what else that guy was? He was a family. He abandoned his wife. 4 kids, and he wrote a reference Bible. He became a pastor. He was the DA of Kansas, and he had to leave because he was getting bribes. The guy was no good. No good. And so I'm telling you, the root of dispensationalism and the idea of a rapture and a 7-year tribulation and a rapture with a tribulation, they get it from the book of Daniel. I dare you to go and open up that book of Daniel. I'm going to take you through it. I'm telling you, the 70th week has been fulfilled. We're not in a great parentheses. You know where the 7-year rapture and all that stuff comes from? From Daniel's 70 week. One little passage. It's not in the New Testament anywhere. Now, there is a meeting up in the heaven in the cloud, but not together with the 7-year tribulation. Has nothing to do with that. They put those scriptures together. You can't do that. You can't do that. And the big thing is in the Daniel, and that Daniel is prophesying these 70 weeks must be fulfilled for the time of the Messiah to be completed. Okay? Bringing his salvation. All right? And what they have done is that at the 69th week, the Messiah is supposed to come, and then he's going to die at the cross. It lines up perfectly with Jesus.
Down to like the day.
And then you know what they have to get your rapture and your 7-year, your mid-trib, P-trib, post, is at 70th week.
They call it the great parenthesis.
That hasn't happened yet in 2,000 years. Now, ask yourself this. They were in captivity for 70 years. He said, you're going to be in captivity for 70 years. What he did not say was, you know what, there's going to be a great parenthesis between 69 and 70. And what the Bible doesn't say is that there's a great parenthesis between 69 and 70. It just is explaining to you that at 69 weeks the Messiah is going to come. At 69 and a half he's going to be cut off. Anyways,
wow,
we got to fight.
Leah was really fired up there. We're trying to take you into all of that gradually because we don't want to scare anybody.
Oh my word.
Okay? We want you to be...
That's the problem. I'm trying not to make you afraid. Scared. Don't be scared. That you have power that you
have power, and we actually do know of it. And
eye has not seen, nor ear has heard, nor entered into your thoughts what God has prepared for you. And I'm telling you, you have power here on earth that you have no idea about.
Next Wednesday's show, we're going to be covering the Olivet Discourse as seen in the Gospels. Okay, we're going to go over that.
All this stuff, and you're going to share it with all your friends because this is the yes, Leah, we know you're right. Okay, and here's the thing, not me. Because honestly, whenever even most people who believe in the rapture are like, dude, at least Matthew 24 is fulfilled. Most of it, at least.
Right.
So.
Oh, wow. So that's fun. Pray for Millie.
Yeah.
Come to see our show on Wednesdays. Likely in the afternoon, roughly around 4 p.m. We'll try to let you know in advance. In the meantime, go to our website, resistancechicks.com. Listen to the podcast. Catch all the latest episodes of Resistance Chicks there. I'm reading I'm doing a companion series, reading through Josephus's War of the Jews, so you can find out. Leah and Michelle are saying that this happened and this was fulfilled in 70 AD. Who is the person that recorded this? Josephus was. He's the leading authority. He is the historian. No one refutes him. So we're reading through that. So we love you guys. Thank you, Leah. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth and they wrongfully come into your home and arrest you and your husband and take you away from your son who's crying, Daddy, please go get the BB gun so you can stop this injustice that's happening to you and Mommy. It's not just a conspiracy theory when they're about to drop that video and they get arrested that day. It's not just a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Please like this video, comment on it, subscribe to our channels, Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3. Ring the bell so you get notifications. Find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter, and everywhere else social media platforms are. Patriot Gallery, our mom, does an excellent job of putting that stuff out there. She's got a new channel that she's starting up. We're going to contribute to it as well. Homesteading, getting people back to the way that God wants us to live. It's called Created by Divine Design. We haven't really set it up yet, but I wanted to let you guys know that that's happening. And you can check out her latest video and blog. I think it's part 4 was the latest one. if you're interested in homeschooling, if you're interested in getting back to a more natural way of living, you don't want to miss this series that Patriot Gallery is doing. So you can find that also on YouTube, Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. I think that covers all the bases. Thank you for being here. Thank you to the moderators who have been here. You guys have been awesome. And I think I've covered it all. I think I did. Okay, so we'll see you back here on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our European and UK news roundup. And we'll definitely be giving you an update should it happen, whatever we get on Millie over the next day or two, and we find out what's happening. Honestly, I'm going to be completely honest. I was tempted to text her, but they have her phone. So I was like, that's such a bad idea. It's like beyond a bad idea. I don't want to be communicating with Millie right now. But I would tell you who I will be communicating with: the Almighty, who has all power to take care of the situation. So I think that's it. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless.
Every day, so afraid, but you call my name.